line screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my name. Fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lies. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth is harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's up, everybody? It's Thirsty Thursday. Do you have a drink? Probably not. It's early. Good morning. Hope y'all are doing well. There are days when I always like being here with you guys. There are days when I really, really like it, when I'm really excited. And this is one of those days, as we just saw the Trump administration, Trump himself, put the entire globalist financial system on blast. And folks, I think we're getting more public in what the Trump administration's actually doing. And for those of us who've been watching, for those of us who've been paying attention, for those who've been trusting people like Promethean Action, the Tom Luongos of the world, et cetera, we're getting some validation more and more every single day. So very exciting stuff. We're going to cover that, the war going public, Basent following it up with what is actually going to be occurring. And then we have a ton of wins to report from the Trump administration, from justice to the economy, et cetera, et cetera. Going to be breaking all that down. Midterm updates, as always, because there's a lot of psyops going on there to get you freaking out about the midterms. And then, of course, we have a grifter report. As the grifters, my goodness, they are going all out right now. It is an all-out direct attack on MAGA. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Which tells me desperation is rising on their side. So welcome. Great day to be here, folks. We got a lot to get to. Hope you guys are ready for a couple hours of breaking it down. No dooming here. We are looking at it from the positive perspective that we are winning, because I got to say the facts support us. The data supports us. So that's where we're going to follow up with. But before we get started, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's get into it. I want to say hey to some peeps in here, because this is the greatest community on YouTube. Somebody wrote me the other day and said, I'm a part of a lot of the greatest communities on YouTube. And I said, no, you're not. There's only one. This is the one, and everybody else is lying. So I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And you know what I do? I expose narratives. So that is a narrative. Don't believe it. There's only one greatest community on YouTube, and building on Rumble. Although Rumble, we got some work to do. Speaking of Rumble, though, let's call out those who are here. We got Nels, Chrissy Katz, Holy Smokes, Pixel Snap, Brenda Joy. Welcome, guys. Thank you for plugging it in and doing the work on Rumble. Appreciate you guys over there. I do see you on Kick and X. I can't see your comments, but I am grateful you're watching. Thank you for being here. But then here on the tubes is the hub of the show. Let's say hey to who's here. Bonnie Morgan, numero uno. I believe that's your first time. Welcome, welcome. Kevin Tweedy, Threads, Motley Cruel, Candid, Taya Dye, Monica Poole from Montana. I speak for you. What's up? Jay Tyrus, Pat M, Melon Kin, Rum Dog, Heidi Moga. Supporting a client in a waiting room leaves you free to join the live. I love it. I love it, Heidi. Glad to have you. It's been a bit since we've seen you live. Nick Majors, Lisa Doxy, Lucid Heart. Good to see you, friend. It's been a long time. Your hubby's now watching too. I love it. Tell him hi for me. Kellyanne Washburn, Threads, Nick Majors, The Mod, Wasazi, Motley Cruel, Michael Granite, what's up, brother? Jay Gomez, Joe Wilkes, Max Calentine, Adrian Pentel, Lisa Couture, and many, many more. Sorry, guys. As always, I can't get to all you, but I do appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. Early Bird gets the shout out. I do see Katie Cat is back. Katie, it's good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Glad you're able to watch. How's things going? Are you guys still fighting the wildfires? Let me know how it's going. I see you, Maui Jimbo. You just were a little late on your comment, but I'll call you out on Rumble because, the Rums, it's not too hard to call you guys out over there. All right, folks. Well, lots to get to, but as always, I just want to let you guys know the rules of the chat. All disagreements are welcome if done respectfully. Questions, comments, tag me so I can see them. I do stop in between and at the end of the show to answer your questions and comments, and super chats are always guaranteed to be read. So that's the rules. Trolls and bots will be kicked, and if you sound like a troll or bot, you'll probably also get kicked. So be careful how you write, because listen, I'm writing a lot of comments and it's really hard to tell if you're legit or not, and unless you make it obvious. So we are quick to ban here because we want the people to actually be able to talk, have a good connection. Zegroom says, my wife sent me a video saying Trump is wanting to put autistic and mentally retarded people in wards. I told her to ignore without context. I've meant autistic and mentally retarded people in wards. I don't think so. There has been talk of bringing back, which I'm in favor of this, bringing back mental health institutions. Because since we got rid of them, I mean, we've had a lot of issues that could have been handled by those places. So, no big deal there. I don't think you have anything to worry about. And trust me, my oldest son is autistic. If I thought that was a big issue, I would be upset about it. But listen, that's the typical Trump is Hitler nonsense, because what is one of the main things Hitler did? He basically, killed people with mental disabilities. Is one of the main things he went after, other than the Jews. And, he killed Jews. He killed mentally handicapped people. He killed Christians. Hitler was killing anybody who was against him. And then he didn't think was Ubermensch, master race. So yeah, I want to be into that. Big Chungus asks, who's my most disappointing grifter being exposed over the years? Mine is Bannon. He had me for quite some time. Ooh, that is a great question. Who hurt the most? Um, Personally, the one that hurt the most was, for me, Tucker. And listen, I know I'm going to get a bunch of people who are like, oh, I saw it years ahead of time. Good for you. I jumped on the Tucker train late in like 22, 23 when he was really going after the Biden stuff. And then followed him throughout the campaign. In 24, his stuff was excellent. He gave an amazing speech at the RNC. He was really communicating the MAGA agenda very well. He was supporting Trump. He got close to Trump. So I was duped by Tucker. That one got me the most. And so just being honest, a lot of the other ones I always held at arm's length, like Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Bannon even. I always had my issues with Bannon, even when I really liked his show. And yeah, there's just, so most of them haven't hurt at all. But Tucker was the one I actually really, really liked. So yeah, great question though. Thanks for asking that. And again, guys, just as an example, this is what I do. In between, I will get through the hard news in a minute with my takes on it, and we will do plenty of that. So I know I'll get the people who are like, bro, just get to the news. Dude, we always get to the news. And you can always watch this on replay and skip these parts, or you can watch my clips if that's all you care about. But this is a live show with a real chat, a real community. And so there's always going to be engagement. Like it or not, that's how it's going to be. It's my show. That's how I'm going to do it. And you don't have to watch. Or you could just take the parts you like. Stick with those. Yeah, Banno's always a little too fear-based. I've never been attached to people who are fear-based. So anybody who's always kind of worried, always kind of like painting dark pictures of the future, I just see my natural bent my entire life is to hope and expectancy and belief that things can change for the better. The reason I have that hope is because of my faith as a Christian, and because when I was in my early 20s, I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues. I had a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts. I was in and out of ups and downs. I felt constantly worried at night. And then I remember reading my Bible, and Matthew 6 stood out to me like highlighted, like burned in my soul. And it's Jesus saying, do not worry. Do I not take care of the sparrows, the flowers of the field? You know, what do you gain by worrying for an hour of your life? You know, who is to know what's coming tomorrow? And all of that, and it's backed up in James as well. All of that combined just was like, you know what? Why am I worrying? And so I decided to let it go. And I decided to say, you know what? Trust in the Lord, hope, expectancy. That is the best way. It's better for mental health, optimism. Most successful people are optimists by far. It's just everything's better about being optimistic. And so because of that choice I made in my early 20s, I think I was 21 or 22, that has carried me, and I've never looked back. And you know what? I have no regrets. Optimism, hope is the way to go. Dooming is for losers. Dooming comes from fear. Dooming, black pilling, it's faith in fear. It's faith in bad, which is basically faith for the devil, because there's no fear in love. That's also the Bible. And God is love. So there's no fear that comes from God about the happenings in the earth. There's a fear of the Lord, which is the awe and wonder of who he is, how small we are in comparison, how great he is, and we should fear and tremble before him in that way. But we are never to fear anything that happens on earth. Anything. No fear. And that is, we're not supposed to dwell on it, to worry about it. We're supposed to give it all to the Lord. That, my friends, dictates my entire outlook on life. It is. And you're never going to convince me otherwise. And so anytime I find anything that is going against that, I know that even if the person is a good person, even if the person means well, I know they are partnering with the thoughts from the enemy, because the thoughts of the enemy always steer you to fear. Fear, worry, it disrupts your mind, it takes away your hope, and it keeps you from being a legitimate major part of the solution. And because of that, I cannot accept or partner ever with blackpilling, dooming arguments. Because here's the deal. No matter how bad things look, there's always a God who's working out solutions for those who will take them and run with them. And that is a fact. It's a promise. It's a fact. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in everybody else's who accepts this. Take and look for the solutions and run with them, and the Lord will breathe on it and make it happen. That's why I have so much faith for our country and why I never believe the enemy wins, ever, because he doesn't. He's a loser, and he's not that powerful. That's one of the big lies, is that he's powerful. You know, the famous saying from Usual Suspects, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled on the world was convincing the world he didn't exist. That is a lie. It is not true. The greatest trick the enemy ever pulled on the world was convincing the world he's powerful, because he's not. He's been disempowered by Jesus. And because of that, we live in a world where we get to be the ones advancing, and he gets his butt beat all the time. That is a fact. That is the biblical narrative. Okay, Carson Brownie with a $5 super chat says, ever notice how Candace and Tucker talk the same way, or am I crazy? No, they do. They use the same method of talking. Everything's obvious. Everything is easy to see. So they make it, they demean any argument against them. They make it sound like we're idiots for not agreeing with them. And that is a way of talking, because they don't have to present facts that way. And then they also talk circular, always repeating, always dancing around the subject without going straight to it. And it also gives them the ability to speak from both sides of their mouth. It's a very similar tactic, and they both use it. Okay, you guys ready to get into it more? Let's see here. Make sure I don't miss anything before we move on. Again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support of the channel. If you guys do want to become members and become even deeper into this community, you can join the membership. There's a link in the description for a free month. Try it out. See what you think. Okay. Yeah, lots of good stuff in the chat. All right. So please, guys, if you want to get my attention, please tag me. Let's get into it, shall we? For those who don't know, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with the globalist system, the City of London system. That is the true deep state. That is the state that we have been at war with for a very long time, and that Trump has decided to take on, which is why they hate him so much. And Iran is just a part of that. All right. It's just a small part of that. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's a small part. It's a big part of it. And again, they want you focused on what Trump's doing there, when again, it's such a larger beast we're trying to take down. And Trump yesterday dropped this bomb, which I believe is a full-on declaration of war against the globalists. And so let me break this down, but first we'll get into it. So last night, Donald J. Trump truthed out this ramping up of economic warfare against the entire system supporting Iran. For anybody who has been paying attention, the economic system, the political system supporting Iran can be traced to shadow banking cartels, trace that back to City of London. It all works together. The shipping, the oil manipulation, all of it. The terrorism in the Middle East, the destabilization of the Middle East. This is what Trump is undoing. A lot of the strength given to China, etc., etc. It's all been bad for us. And Trump, for the first time last night, publicly declared that he's going after this whole system. Now listen to this. He wrote, "No one has given the Islamic Republic of Iran a greater opportunity to make a deal than me. Tragically for them, they have failed to take it. Therefore, today I'm announcing the most crushing economic operation ever taken against a country. This will be economic warfare and isolation on an unprecedented scale. Their navy's gone, their air force is destroyed, their military factories are now rubble, their currency is worthless, and their country is hanging by a thread. Today, I am also announcing that any country that allows its financial institutions, businesses, airports, or government entities to provide any type of lifeline to Iran will itself face tremendous economic consequences. Oil smuggling, swap lines, cash transfers, exchange houses, ship registries, front companies. It all needs to stop now. You know who you are. This will be an economic D-Day. Economic D-Day. What was D-Day all about, folks? Taking the shore and then never looking back. That was the day we actually won World War II. We just had to finish the job afterwards. We need all of our allies to stand with the United States of America to isolate and defeat the Iran threat. These maniacs are on the ropes. These historic measures will cripple them in their ability to project terror worldwide. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your attention to this matter in all caps. There is a lot here. A lot here. So we've been choking out Iran. We're going to the point where everybody has to admit it now that we're winning. I'm going to cover that more here in a minute as well. But this is so much bigger, and Trump has finally let the cat out of the bag. Now, he didn't say City of London. He didn't say the Globalist. And you know what, guys? I hate to tell you this. There's a likely chance he never will. He doesn't actually have to. And besides, if he did, it would just confuse most people. Instead, you could do it like this. Any country is helping him. That's enough. That's enough for the people to understand. That's enough for those of us to see what he's actually doing. And that's where his communication is going to be. Here's Trump giving a little breakdown right before he posted this of what he's thinking.
The Treasury Secretary says that we could see the most impactful sanctions on Iran this week. When will they come, and what else could be sanctioned on Iran?
Well, we have things that we could sanction. We have very draconian sanctions, and we'll see what happens. Right now, the strait is open. A lot of boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that may slow down a little bit at some point. But right now, a lot of boats are coming through. The naval blockade has been extremely effective. Zero, I mean, literally, while it's up, and that's been for quite a while, you know, except for a couple of little pauses where we opened it purposely with a deal. But the deal didn't terminate, you know, the deal didn't turn out to be what they said, you know, when they tell us one thing and they do another. But the blockade has been 100% successful. No boats have gotten into Iran, but they are getting in for other places. But we'll see. We're going to see what happens. It'll either be extremely good and oil prices are going to drop like a rock, or we'll continue to do exactly what we're doing.
Tightening the screws. Since the post went, here's a little from Fox News.
Which he is calling economic D-Day.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Ying's live in Tel Aviv to explain what that could mean. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Overnight, President Trump announced what he is calling economic D-Day against Iran. The president indicated that any countries around the world that are providing any sort of economic lifeline to the Iranian regime.
Do you understand right now how scared they are? This and the other aspect of this is this tells you that Trump he feels comfortable being able to push this forward. This is what you do when you push further, when you already know they're on their heels. As soon as you notice weakness, you attack. See, Iran, for all intents and purposes, is done. We've won this. We're just playing it out. We have every advantage. They have no leverage. We've completely, thoroughly defeated them. We're just waiting for them to be done with it because we don't want to send troops in and force it that way, which is smart. We have no need to do that. So we're playing the long game. Now that Iran is so thoroughly defeated, Trump's like, now I can broaden it out to the others. This again proves to me that Iran is truly a keystone in all this. It was like, this is going to unlock a lot of what's keeping their system together. And now it being reported everywhere, economic D-Day. Do you think that's a coincidence that Trump used those terms? What was D-Day? D-Day was the greatest military operation in world history of allied forces taking on other allied forces. Allies versus the Axis. Germany, Japan, Italy against Russia, US, England, and several others. We took the shores. We turned the tide of the war. We broke through, and it shifted everything, along with Hitler's massive failure in Russia. Those two things shifted everything, but D-Day was the one. So what does D-Day represent? And Trump calls this out in his post. The Allies in a world war taking on the other enemy, an axis. And this time the axis is a financial one. It's a system. It's a political system, financial system. It is the deep state, the globalist, Davos, City of London, whatever you want to call it. But that's why this matters. That's why he chose this language. I fully believe that. And now it's spreading. They have to be quaking right now because they know this is bad for them. Have you noticed how they haven't been able to do much of anything? Where's the riots? Where's the protests? Where's the false flags? We haven't seen any of it yet. I'm not saying nothing will happen because the enemy still gets a say and they do still have some resources, but they clearly are not what many believe they are. They are very weak compared to what people have touted them as, to what people have expected. Where's the economic crash? We still haven't seen it. Will it come? I don't know. Why wait this long? Personally, I've been waiting for them to do horrible things for a very long time. And yet, in this second term, in this second Trump administration, all I've seen is them push out narratives, blackpilling, dooming, psyops, and never be able to back it up. To me, that it says extreme weakness on their side. Some will say it's strategy. Oh, they're waiting. It's like the stupid Iran thing. They're just waiting to unleash their missiles. No, they're not. Again, it doesn't mean they don't have any plays left, but the only plays left they might have might be the ones that ultimately are destructive to them as well. But the longer they wait, if they go all out to try to stop Trump in a way that hurts them as well, the longer they wait, the stronger we are as a country and we can withstand it. And so they're caught between a rock and a hard place. But this is, I guarantee you, this is shocking them right now.
Regime would face their own economic consequences. He called on allies to stand with the United States, posting to Truth Social, "No one has given the Islamic Republic of Iran a greater opportunity to make a deal than me. Tragically for them, they have failed to take it. Therefore, today I am announcing the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any country. This will be economic warfare and isolation on an unprecedented scale." On Wednesday, the president described the state of play amid reports that the United States is still overseeing vessels through a safe corridor to export millions of barrels of oil out of the Persian Gulf each day.
But the deal didn't terminate.
No leverage. And then after announcing this morning, Trump had Bessent go out and communicate what's happening and how they're going to pull this off. Now, Bessent has some very interesting things to say. Remember, as Tom Luongo calls Bessent, he calls him Big Gay Patton. Well, Trump is fighting and winning the economic war, and that's ultimately the way we're going to win this war without massive casualties. Trump knows this. He's deploying every tool in our belt. Scott Bessent is the mastermind behind it all, which is why Trump pulled him in. Formerly worked for George Soros. Do you think anybody understands the globalist way of shadow banking, the globalist way of manipulating currencies and markets better than Bessent? No, he knows it all, and he's on our side now. And so what did Trump do after making this massive announcement? The commander-in-chief has made his announcement, and now he's sending his top general out to explain it to the people.
Oil markets are misinterpreting what this economic pressure means. The economic pressure means that we are going to all of our allies, and this is going to be the greatest coordinated economic isolation in the history of the world.
Did you hear that? The greatest coordinated economic pressure in the history of the world? Let me play that again. This is, people will watch these interviews and they'll focus on, they'll pick something to focus on. We have to listen to every word. This is a crazy statement.
Pressure means that we are going to all of our allies, and this is going to be the greatest coordinated economic isolation in the history of the world. And we are going to them and saying, you are either with us or against us.
Whoa. Okay. With us or against us. That is the George Bush terminology for the war on terror. Do you think it's coincidence they're bringing it back? No, because this time we're going after the real terrorists, and they say it in a way that gets the American people perked up. What? And it's also sending a message. We're going after the real terrorists now, this globalist financial system. This is crazy stuff.
You want this murderous regime to end, and if you insist on doing business with them, either transferring money, buying their oil, doing seaborne ship transfers, then the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. government, they will put its full might and force toward enforcing against you. So it is time for our allies and the rest of the world to make a decision, and we are going to squash the economy of this murderous regime, which that will curtail their ability to project power through their proxies. It will mean that they cannot pay the military, and we have substantial inflation, both food inflation and ordinary inflation in Iran. And what we have seen, I see lots of reports that said, oh, well, this has never worked. It does work because we have a combination. It is a 1-2 punch. We have the blockade, and we are going to have the toughest sanctions in history. And I will tell you, this will work. It worked in Venezuela once we put up the blockade. It is working in Cuba right now, and it is going to work in Iran, and we are going to collapse this regime.
Wow. So much there. I mean, it's working in Cuba right now. Did you hear that? Yeah. I think we're getting some deep insights into all their plans right now. You're with us. You're against us. We're calling on all countries to be a part of this. Beware. We're taking them down. We are cutting off their proxies. They cannot fund their proxies doing this. They can't even pay their military. This is wild stuff, folks. I'm telling you, this is not coincidence. This is not hyperbole. This is a big push, maybe the final big push. Not that we're going to clean this up in a couple months, but when you enter into an endgame strategy, when you're making that final push, it can take weeks, months to play out. But this is an announcement. He just put the whole world on alert. The whole world, meaning the whole globalist system, on alert. This is a big deal. Now, Edith Turan, knowing how things are in Iran, had this to say. If Trump's recent post about economic operation on Islamic regime in Iran left you impatient, this post might help. What's happening right now is one of the most important and effective preparatory stages for the next round of military strikes. Interesting. Is this true? I don't know. But it's very possible you get them completely weakened, and then you let maybe the people finally carry out their military strikes. I don't know, but I like how she communicates what the Iranian people, the ones in favor of this, think. It's a design to force the regime towards surrender and create the conditions for a bureaucratic collapse and transition rather than chaos. And that I agree with. Let me explain. The Islamic Republic is at its core a plunder-oriented and clientelist structure. Historically, it most closely resembles the early Arab conquest of Iran and Mongol invasions. Systems organized around extraction rather than governance or belief. Central prize has always been Iran's oil. Listen to this. Systems organized around extraction rather than governance or belief. That is exactly what you do when you set up a proxy government of an empire in a territory. And that's what Iran is. It's a territory of City of London globalists that they've been using to destabilize the region over and over again. And they hid it behind Tehran is a bunch of religious fundamentalists, which I'm not saying they're not, but those were put there on purpose to hide what's really going on. As we found out, the IRGC is truly the ones in charge of this the whole time. The militaristic wing, the occupying force, in a way, of the shadow government. Unfortunately, the oil wealth has never been linked to the welfare of the Iranian people or any measurable competence running the country. Money simply flows, even under sanctions. Extensive shadow networks in China, Iraq, UAE, and UK, there it is, kept the revenue moving. Well, now Iraq has chosen sovereignty, has partnered with Trump. UAE has been moving towards the sovereigntist and Trump wing. China has backed out, said we don't want to play this game anymore. The only one still doubling down is City of London. Let me jump down here a little bit. She describes this very well, but I'm not going to read the whole thing about their government. It says what Scott Bessent and the Treasury are doing now is closing the remaining sanctions evasion arteries. The shadow routes that kept the money flowing are being shut down so that finally there's no meaningful revenue left. In the next phase, I expect Israeli strikes to remove main hardline ideological commanders within the IRGC. To be decided. We'll wait and see what happens there, but that's an interesting guess. She goes on that, but consider a recent example of Syria. Ba'athist the ideology in both Syria and Iraq was itself a mixture of anti-imperialist and anti-Israel rhetoric. The only real difference was that instead of a religious component, it was pan-Arab and secular. Assad's regime was structured in a comparable way. The fact that regime calls itself ideological should not frighten anyone into believing it can never surrender. Damascus fell through bureaucratic collapse with almost no serious resistance, and Assad simply fled. Absolutely right. If you follow events on the ground, trajectory is already visible. POTUS's plan is not a full-scale invasion. Simply arming the people is not a viable solution. Iran possesses a golden opportunity almost no other country in a comparable situation has ever had. A clear, legitimate, and widely desired alternative with a proven, distinguished record. And she says it's Pahlavi. We'll see. But I agree with her and her main ideas here. Believe that Trump and the competent people in this administration understand that reality. Absolutely right. Now let's look at another interesting breakdown of what's happening. It's from Observing Consciousness, one of the most thoughtful posters on X. I believe you guys should all check them out if you're on X. It's time. We speak of the they often. Trump just said we are targeting them directly. Here we go. They are not a country on a map, but the financial machine hiding behind the evil. Exactly. We will cut off from the U.S. economy any country, financial institution, business, and individual. It's not a warning to Tehran. That's a warning to the entire network keeping sanctioned power alive. The banks, oil buyers, exchange houses, shadow fleets, ship registries, front companies, offshore structures, and governments providing the financial oxygen. Trump names the plumbing. That is at the systems level. Not a mysterious room of a people, but entrenched transnational architecture able to hide ownership, move money, reroute commodities, finance proxies, and keep sanctioned regimes functioning through layers of intermediaries. That is how you describe the Davos City of London system. That's a very good description of it. A transnational architecture. It's not a nation. I often get people who are like, why doesn't Trump just call out London? Why doesn't he just call it out? Why doesn't he just tell us what he's doing? Have you met regular people? The average person doesn't even know what the differences between our Congress, the Senate, and the House are. Most people in our country don't even know there's 100 senators and 435 House of Representatives. Most people couldn't name the vice president. People do not pay attention. So do you think Trump could get on his pedestal and broadcast to the country, we're going after an entrenched transnational architecture? Do you think people would ever understand that? Absolutely not. You have to keep it simple. And those of us paying attention who really, really care about this stuff, it's up to us to decode. That's why he does it the way he does. Because these people who don't even understand what our Congress does or how it acts, who think that once you elect a president, they're king, which a lot of people do. They think the president passes laws. This is why they get so mad when Trump doesn't do anything. Or, well, they assume he's not doing anything. Why can't you just do everything? Because we don't elect a king, dummies. People don't know this stuff. Nobody teaches them civics anymore, and that's on purpose. They don't want them to understand. So trying to understand that, and then Trump comes out and says, we're going after the City of London architecture, the globalist cabal. The regular people are going to be like, you crazy. We elected a crazy person. That's why you can't do it that way. Because this is what it takes to describe it. Keep it simple. That's how you do it. China sits on one of the largest arteries through Iranian energy and financial flows. City of London sits inside the wider global machinery of banking, insurance, commodities, FX, and offshore capital. Follow the transaction far enough, you stop looking at Iran, you start looking at the financial infrastructure connecting the whole thing. Exactly. But this is why the globalist assets, the FAGA class, the Podcastistan, once you focus just on Iran as if Trump just is going into the Middle East again for oil, or as if Israel has just told us to take out one of their enemies. Those are the psyops they want you to go after. Those are the psyops they want you to think is happening because they don't want you to see this, because they always operate in the shadows. If they don't, they lose. Then comes the line that should make every facilitator pay attention. You know who you are. Oh, so good. That's Trump warning a network that's already been mapped. Military operation hits the weapons, ships, and physical infrastructure. Economic D-Day goes after the bloodstream underneath it. Trail is simple. Cut the banking, cut the settlement, cut the insurance, cut the shipping, cut the oil revenue, cut access to the American economy. Suddenly, the machine cannot finance itself, move itself, or rebuild itself. That's why it's so important and why it had to start here. As the American system, the fake American system that they'd created, the free trade system, the globalist controlled system, was financing it and protecting it. And now that's all gone. We've already cut up most revenue streams. Now we're cutting the head off the beast. And this is what I totally agree with this. One level higher, Iran is the doorway, or as I've said, the keystone. Folks, I've said this since March when we first went in. Okay. And that's not me just tooting my own horn. That is me saying that if you pay attention, you're proven right most of the time. I honestly don't ever think it was that hard to see. But I'm just a guy on a small channel, and I'm not the only one who saw it. There's others who saw it. Promethean Action, Tom Luongo. A lot of these people have helped me understand it better. But the point is we are drops in the bucket compared to the media infrastructure out there. We don't have USAID money that built us. We don't have CIA backing that helped create us. We're not a part of Project Mockingbird. We are a part of actually trying to support President Trump and seeing what he's doing. And as a result, it's much harder to get that information out there. But we are being validated right now as more and more people wake up. This expands into major Chinese financial institutions and Western nodes facilitating those flows. Trump isn't merely bankrupting an adversary. He's beginning to choke out the monetary rails that kept the old network alive. We're heading into closing acts. Things will likely get worse before they get better. Buckle up. He might be right. He might be right about this. Things will likely get worse before they get better. And that, I will say, there's a big, I would say this. I would bet on that. Prepare for it. That they are going to do whatever they can at the last moment to make things harder before we turn the tide fully, before we can fully build. That is absolutely true, and we should all be prepared for it. And then there's a big but. However, it's entirely possible that, and we've seen this so far, that most of the stuff we've worried about hasn't happened. Most of the stuff that was predicted to happen in their response hasn't happened. It's also entirely possible they are weaker than most people believe. And it's entirely possible that we get through this pretty smoothly. And maybe the worst is already over. It is possible. And we have to be prepared for either. Prepare for the worst, but hope and believe for the best. It's absolutely possible. Now, all this is happening, and I think it's very interesting, the timing. What did I report on the other day? CNN finally had to admit, CNN admitted that the strait is ours. Iran no longer has the leverage. Well, listen to some of the details of how good it's been going for us. The Islamic Republic is losing its grip on the Strait of Hormuz. More than 80% of vessels over the past 2 weeks have used the Oman side route, defying the Islamic Republic's preferred shipping corridor and continue to transit under U.S. naval protection. Despite attacks on vessels and regime's declarations of control, shipping continues through a route it opposes, limiting its ability to dictate passage and collect fees. Battle for Hormuz is increasingly becoming a contest of actual control. They may claim the strait, but U.S. naval power is increasingly preventing it from enforcing that claim. Oh, you mean they were lying the whole time? Big surprise there. But this is being reported everywhere now. People are noticing, which means that the control of the strait is now so in hand that the Trump administration can now go to the next level. That's what we're doing. It's been the claims being shattered by what's actually happening. The military established a shipping corridor with 15 to 20 tankers transitioning in and out each night, moving roughly 10 million barrels of oil per day. That's another million up a day from where we were a couple weeks ago. It just keeps moving up. That's around half the pre-war oil flow. Well, guess what? A lot of the other half has already been diverted over land and through pipelines. Huge. Sources inside Iran tell me the U.S. blockade is starting to have a serious impact. I'm told it's not only choking Iranian oil sales, but disruption to supply chains to China is beginning to cause friction, which is triggering a degree of panic. So when you know Iran is pretty much completely without leverage, the Middle East is finally coming into place where we want it. Now they announce we're taking out everybody messing with us, and we're taking out everybody trying to keep them going. That's a big deal. And that's the timing on this. Makes perfect sense. Is it coincidence that a week ago, Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia entered a defense agreement? And many were like, oh, that's against Israel. Is it? Or was it against Iran or a globalist deep state, the proxies that would try to destabilize and attack? Because to me, folks, as soon as they did that, Iran just kept getting weaker and weaker. Now, within Iran, protests are starting because the economy is getting so bad. Inflation's out of control. December 2025, a dollar was 1.44 million reals. Today, a dollar is 1.9 million reals. That's a big jump in the weakness of their currency. Now, Tom Luongo breaks this down perfectly because what? Oh, we're starting to bring food back to America. And this is all just part of that attack. If you want to know who they are and what they've been doing, it says the war on food is downstream of the war on transportation, which is downstream of the war on energy, which is downstream of the war on capital formation. To what end? Destroy the middle class and bring down just America, but the very idea of self-governance as a thing. Shut up, peasants. Eat the bugs. Work for the betterment of your feudal overlords. Don't dare to dream. You're not a hero of your story. You're a virus put on this earth to destroy it. This is the Davos mindset. And that's the system that Trump just announced we're going to take down, who's been working with Iran, using Iran. The awakening's happening, folks. This kind of stuff is spreading everywhere. People are starting to get it. We see this right here as Colonel Watkins shares this post from this Krzysztof Skavinsky. I don't know who that is, but it doesn't matter. 60,000 followers. But you see it's growing. I'll be honest with you. Until recently, I didn't know much about the Fabian Society. Maybe it's because the English know how to be smooth. Correct me if I'm going somewhere wrong. He goes on to describe the Fabian Society. But Watkins says we've been talking about for years. Welcome to the Great Awakening. It's happening. It's spreading. People are seeing the truth. And so again, is this coincidence that Trump is announcing these things right now? What about the fact that we have all the leverage now that they have no leverage over us in oil? Breaking. U.S. now receives about 50% of Venezuela's oil. Almost like Trump perfectly played it. With how high U.S. oil production is on top of getting so much Venezuelan oil and looking like it'll get more Canadian oil, thanks to the Keystone Pipeline being rebuilt, U.S. is more or less insulated from the global oil market. That means independence. The City of London's freaking out. Last week, or the week before, I can't remember which, I reported that Saudi Arabia is now not sending any oil to us. First time in 40 years, we got 0% of our oil from Saudi Arabia. Why? We don't need it anymore. We are self-sustaining. And yes, we still import oil. We're getting a lot of that from Venezuela, obviously. Thank you, President Trump. Western Hemisphere, a lot easier to patrol. But this was one of their main leverages over us. City of London, Globalist, they always controlled the oil prices. Things would get tight. Prices start going up. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden would run to the Saudis, to OPEC, and beg, please, sir, can I have some more? Please, sir, can you produce some more oil? We don't ever have to look that stupid and weak again. Never, ever, because of what Trump's doing. And as long as we stay on top of it, we don't have to ever go backwards. This is fundamental change that even if they wanted to take it back, it's going to take a long time to undo what Trump has done. And again, they're on their heels. What leverage do they have anymore? Not much. Finally, the Department of War posted this yesterday. Sorry to keep you waiting, Patriots. Complicated business. This is right before Trump posted this economic D-Day to the globalist system. Right before. Do you think they're signaling to us a little bit? Hold on. It's going to be fine. Patriots are in control. We're winning this war, but it's complicated. So hang in there. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. That's not just funny. That's a legitimate message to all of us. Hang in there. We're going to get there. All right, folks. If you like this segment, please hit that like and subscribe. The war against the globalists is being won, and we're going to talk about that even more domestically through the midterms and the wins we're getting here at home. But first, let me get into the Chizat and catch up with you guys before we move on. All right, I saw some good comments out there. $1 super chat from Jacob Gestetner. Thank you for the support, sir. Angela with a $14 super chat says, love your show. Thank you. You're welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for your support. And Big Chungus asks with a $5 super chat, what do we make of the R to D flip in the special election, Butler County, Pennsylvania? Very close. I don't like seeing that. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to cover that in the midterm section, so don't worry about it, but it's not as bad as you think. Okay. And it's not just me saying that. Seth Keshel, the most genius man on elections, says it, but I'll break that down. Let me see here. Any tags, any questions? I'm sure that brought out a lot of stuff. I thought I saw some here. Kellyanne says, I think we saw their secret missile when they shot at Diego Garcia. That might have been it. And that's all they had. That's pretty sad, right? PM, glad to have you. Thank you so much. Holy Smoke says, the entire world is pissed off at Iran, how they handled the Strait. Perfect timing for Trump to unleash the economic warfare. Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Just My Opinion says, Ace Tusi says the Immortal Guard are preparing to start the revolution. They are arming slowly and they're notifying the people via low-tech communication. I don't know that. I haven't seen that, but I don't doubt it. I would be I would be 100% believing it if I start seeing that news coming out of Iran. Yep. Laney says, you can tell the globalists are afraid. Look at the deceptive marketing corporations are doing, nickel and diming people. Can't wait to see their fall. I agree. Monica Poole says, you know who you are. I've had Chatham House making fun of me in chats about picking our presidents. Have fun, losers. You've had Chatham House going after you? I love when the trolls go after me. They don't want this information out there. They're very, very scared of it. CCP's panicking. They're hurting a lot already. Trump economic D-Day made them go crazy. Look at the announcement they made. They are escalating. I haven't seen what they put out. I'll have to see that later when I get a chance. When do I think will be time for the next node on the map? When do I think we take the next chess piece? What piece do you think it will be? King or queen? Well, I can't say king or queen because we don't know king or queen. They don't do it that way. I can tell you Iran is one of the most important pieces, if not the most important for their, for their proxy control. We are the most important piece, and Trump took us back. So there's that. But Iran is obviously a huge one. We know we're going to take Cuba and fix that. That's happening right now. Bessent just said it. And Rubio has been letting us know that. But the other one is Russia, Ukraine, ending that. Once that's over, they legitimately have almost nothing. And they've been trying to escalate that to pull us into war and to get Russia in war with NATO so they can use that excuse. It's not going to happen. I don't believe we're going to let it happen. But they are trying to escalate that. Beatrice with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Beatrice. Says best live chat ever. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, if you don't mind, please take a second to hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're new. Appreciate you guys. And again, if you want to, I'm a viewer, listener supported channel. And so if you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member, going in the description, clicking the link to the Patreon and trying it out for a free month. I would really appreciate you just trying it out, and no harm if you leave, but if you stay, you can support the channel because I do this based completely on your guys' help. So thank you for that. All right. Lots more to get into. Let's start moving in that direction. Let's do this. I want to talk about this next. So let's talk about all the stuff Trump is doing. You're welcome, Lewis. Thank you for writing in the chat. Mara Dobson said there will be no World War III, folks. Keep the winning coalition are coming. I got to say, the technically we're already in World War III. It's just a war against a system, not against a country. And we are beating it. Trump said midterm convention. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about that too. Trump just did put out a major post on the convention. So, Mark Anderson, Ukraine's destroying Moscow. Dude, are you serious? That is, I didn't say Russia will lose, and Ukraine is not destroying Moscow. Ukraine is just doing little terrorist attacks to destabilize and try to goad Putin into mistake. So went dark on YouTube. Who? Tusi? Nobody's going to be using nukes, folks. Nobody's going to be using nukes. That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. You know what, guys? If you want to buy into the nuke thing, like that, this person's putting in here, just remember they've been saying people are going to use nukes since nukes were first created. Okay, and it's been nonstop psyop dooming. Some of it is legitimate fear, but a lot of it is psyoping to keep you afraid. And that's the fact is that nobody's ready to use nukes. If they did, it's over for everybody. And believe it or not, these people, especially the globalists, they're actually not suicidal. They are trying to win forever. They're not suicidal. They don't want to end it all because they know if you go back, first of all, the U.S. has the best stockpile in the world, followed with Russia and China. And Russia and China and the U.S., none of us are suicidal. And Europeans, they'll get destroyed if they want to visit. They'll get, they have far less advanced weaponry than the other ones of us. So it's not coming. Okay. Chiosap, $5 super chat, said PBD had a podcast 4 years ago with John Perkins, economic hitman, who described how these deep staters would enslave whole countries with him economically. That's absolutely right. Yep. Absolutely right. Thank you, Chio. You're 100% correct. And that is a long time been the way they're doing it. Daniel says Antichrist is going to be AI. No, it's not. The AI can't have a soul. It's just ridiculous. Also, there is no, well, I'm not going to get into that today. Not going to get into that today. Not going to get sucked in. We can do a members live on all this, on all the theological aspects, but a lot of fear being spewed today, by the way. A lot of fear. We must be on the right track. Christina Abbott, $7 super chat. Thank you, Christina. You've always been an awesome supporter of the channel, and it's good to see you. Thank you for jumping in, and I appreciate you. All right. We need to get moving. All right. We got lots more to get to. Okay. All right, folks. So every day I hear again and again from certain people, nothing's happening. Write me when this happens. Man, Trump's not doing enough. I mean, it just drives me insane. It drives me insane because so much is happening. And today we got Swalwell. The FBI just raided him. Great stuff. A couple days ago, we got the files unsealed about his relationship with Fang Fang. Got more details on that, how she completely infiltrated his entire staff. And makes you think, how many more of these has this happened to? Mitch McConnell, anybody? But regardless, Swalwell, we found out the FBI actually tried to recruit Fang Fang. They covered it up, blah, blah, blah. Well, 2 days after that release comes out, now we're getting some action. Oh, so much for nothing's happening, huh, guys? What do I always tell you? Exposure first, then you make the moves. Well, FBI agents confronted Swalwell at a San Francisco airport and seized his electronics as part of the investigation. And then they went to his house. Here's the Fox News alert.
Breaking news, we have just learned that the FBI has seized former Congressman Eric Swalwell's electronics, and this happened on Saturday. They took those electronics from him at San Francisco International Airport on Saturday and then from his Washington, D.C. home on Sunday. Eric Swalwell was not detained or arrested, and we're told the federal investigation involves sexual misconduct allegations against him. 2 women who have spoken publicly about sex misconduct allegations against Swalwell we know about. Breaking news, we have just...
It's coming. Now they're going after him for the sexual misconduct. Remember, this is why he dropped out of the governor's race in California. All the outs on this. So we have his spy ties as he bang, bang, fang, fang. And then we have his sexual misconduct with his other staffers, and the FBI now going after him. That means it's going to be a federal crime. And when he gets put away, oh yeah, it could also unleash the ties to Ruben Gallego. See, this spreads, folks. This spreads. You start here, you get a whole lot more information, and you can make it move. And this is what the FBI is doing under Kash Patel. In fact, they're doing it so successfully, we're seeing more and more on the ground. This was yesterday reported the largest violent crime reduction in American history, but it's so much more than that as you actually look at the statistics. Violent crime is down 9.3% in 2025, largest annual decline on record. Murder dropped 18%, tying lowest rate in recorded history. Robbery fell 18.5%, resulting in 38,500 fewer robberies. Rape declined 7.5%, 10,000 fewer victims. Oh, what about Epstein? People are being saved. Do you not care? Nothing's happening. Aggravated assault fell 7%, resulting in 62,700 fewer attacks. Property crime down 12%, second largest in history, nearly 750,000 fewer offenses. Isn't it amazing what happens when you deport people, when you actually let law enforcement do its job? It's incredible. These numbers continue to climb. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, whatever, tell me about the economy. And you know what? We got some bad news today. Walmart stock falling as they had their biggest quarterly sales miss in 6 years. Uh-oh. Is the economy tanking? That's what's being reported everywhere because Walmart is a signifier. Problem is it doesn't hold up on inspection. Why did their sales plummet? Well, pricing pressure and the maximum fair pricing hit. Walmart's the 3rd largest pharmacy in the nation, and pharma drugs are down the lowest in 60 years because of Trump. What happened is prices are going down, and so Walmart's money went down. Walmart also announced 2 months ago that they were dropping prices across a ton of food items. Wow, it actually happened. Isn't that amazing? This tells you what's really happening, folks. See, they're reporting this as if the economy's bad. It's actually what we've all voted for. Cheaper prices. Lower prices directly reduce nominal sales. Ticket growth was only 1.1%. Net negative migration shrinks lower income cohort. Oh, yeah. And as the illegals are leaving, less of them shopping at Walmart. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about that. See, all of Trump's policies we voted for, guess what? In the short term, on the financial side of things, it will have negative consequences because the financialists set up their system so they could make money off our backs. They could steal from us with all these cheap goods, but with all this cheap labor, all this illegal activity, they made out like bandits. Trump's ending that, and this is what that actually means. It has nothing to do with our actual economy. Now, Besant gives us a little more insight into how our economy is pulling away from the globalist economy.
We continue to have a strong dollar policy, and the strong dollar policy is that the U.S. economy is pulling away from the rest of the world. When I look, we have 6.5% nominal growth, and the composition of that growth as the headline inflation comes down, and the Atlanta GDP now number is 4% for this quarter. That's a very noisy number, so don't quote me on that. But everything we're seeing in terms of revenue growth at companies up about 12%. So the underlying economy, I think, is very strong, and the only inflationary impulses that we're seeing are coming from the energy, which is temporary.
Energy. Our U.S. economy is pulling away from the rest of the world. So guess what? There's going to be temporary disruption, but that doesn't mean it's bad for your pocketbook. And that's important to recognize. And now we have a little more talk on inflation and farmer prices.
What we're seeing in core inflation, both in goods and services, is down, and that's what matters. We're seeing the wage increases, especially in a lot of the hospitality sectors, come down. We are seeing that the bottom 25% of Americans get good wage increases, but that's being contrasted by the top earners. So the wage inflation has come down, and the core inflation is down. We had the biggest decrease in pharma prices, I think, in history since we've been measuring the sequence. So, like the underlying factors, other than energy, and there is no, we aren't seeing anything that says that the second order effects are spilling over into core inflation. As a matter of fact, in the past weeks, we are seeing like the 5-year, and any inflation markers is telling us that inflation is going to be lower in the future.
We're bringing back a real economy that is undoing the globalist, nonstop inflationary financial economy, turning into a real economy. The disruption's happening, and I tell you, Besant sure doesn't seem worried, does he? He knows where this is headed. And speaking of worry, we just got news that the deficit broke 40 trillion. Oh, and there's a whole lot of psyops going on about this one. Oh, 40 trillion. Oh my God, it's over. The American economy, our republic's over. Wait till I get to the fagger report, the grifter report, and show you what how they're pushing that. But with this news coming out about the deficit, they have to ask Besant about it. Let's listen to what Besant says and how worried he seems about our deficit right now.
There's nothing magic about the 40 trillion number, and we can grow our way out of that. So, but what we do want to signal is I think that there's been a lot of misinformation in terms of what's going on with the deficit, what's going on with the deficit to GDP. We actually had a fiscal consolidation for the calendar year 2025. We were at about 5.7% of GDP, and one of the things that's temporary here that's influencing the deficit has been these tariff refunds, and we won't have to do that again. And the Ambassador Greer, through the 301 process, is re-implementing the same level of tariffs, and I would expect that our 2026 tariff income is going to be roughly what it was in 25, and we're going to be able to keep that in terms of the budget consolidation. The other big item in the budget that we're seeing is the hit that we're taking from to revenues for the immediate expensing of factories and of equipment and farm structures. And I think that if people sit back and think that's not government spending, that is actually an investment in the future, and we're increasing the tax base. And that's how.
Did you hear what he just said? He literally just communicated the American system, the Hamiltonian system, which is what they're doing. This is what Promethean Action has been telling us they're doing, and now Bissett literally just broke it down for you. Let's listen to that one more time about the investment into the United States.
That we're seeing is the hit that we're taking from to revenues for the immediate expensing of factories and of equipment and farm structures. And I think that if people sit back and think that's not government spending, that is actually an investment in the future, and we're increasing the tax base. And that's how, that is what measures the wealth of a nation, is the ability to increase after-tax return on capital.
Imagine that. We're actually using our money to grow our economy, to build an economy for Main Street, increasing the tax base. This is what they mean when they say you can grow out of the deficit. Our spending, which everybody's freaking out about right now, July had the most spending ever. Oh! That's not spending going to food stamps anymore. In fact, that's been cut down significantly, 50% in some states. That's not the abuse is being cleared up. The fraud, 260 billion found so far. They've already cut off 70 billion of it just this year. So far since March. This stuff is being scaled back. All the things that were wasting our future. The welfare going to illegal immigrants, all cut off. That's billions in savings. This spending we're seeing is direct investment into our country, building it. That's what Besant's telling us right now. Not all spending is created equal. I know the libertarians don't understand that. They're like, dude, all spending is bad. Ah! Drive me crazy. They don't understand the difference. And they also don't understand that this is exactly what our government did for the first 125 years of our nation. And that's how we grew into the best nation in history, most powerful nation in history.
So we're pulling back think of it as pulling back the slingshot here. We have a lot of potential energy that will turn into kinetic energy during this year, next year, as these factories come online.
So do you think we've seen peak deficit during this administration?
I think a very, very good chance we have. That we are going to be laser focused, as I said, OMB Director Vogt, myself, the President, that combined with the Vice President's Fraud Task Force, where I think we could save several $100 billion.
Peak deficit. We're walking backwards. The fraud cleanup, and then anyway, you just mentioned Russ Vogt is finding more cuts. See, Doge didn't end, folks. That was all a psyop. The Doge ended. No, they were just dispersed into different, they started out as this one entity, went through all the government systems, tried to find as much fraud as they could to report it, to categorize it, catalog it. And then what happened? They broke up the department and sent them all into the other departments. A little bit of him went to commerce, some went to HHS, et cetera, et cetera. They spread out and they're still cutting. They're still, and I guarantee you a bunch of them are on that fraud task force as well. Now, this is what else we're finding. Federal government has made $2.7 trillion in payments it never should have. Trillion. Government Accountability Office calls them improper payments. Payments made in error, in the wrong amount, or with no documentation. This is beyond the fraud. The fraud is within the system. This is flat out just spending money that never had a designation. In 2003, improper payments totaled $35 billion and climbed to $236 billion a year in 23. Oh, under Biden. Interesting. Fraud alone runs up to $520 billion a year. Treasury Secretary is up to 10% of the entire federal budget. You clean all of this up and make a few cuts, and guess what? We're not that far away from a balanced budget. Oh, and yeah, a lot of that money now is being used to invest in our country, so there's a bigger taxpayer base. All of a sudden, we get more money coming in. This is how you grow yourself out of the deficit. And by the way, the 40 trillion, as horrible and scary and huge that number is, we are not even close to the highest deficits as a percentage of our budget run compared to other countries at times. Japan ran much higher deficits than we did, and they're still alive. It's not the end. We're not there yet. People do not understand how big our economy is and how much assets we have. Now, the news, though, keeps getting better for the Trump economy. Unemployment claims stay historically low. People aren't losing their jobs. And yeah, continuing claims were a little higher, but that just means, some people waiting it out, seeing if they can get better jobs. That's fine. That happens. No big deal. But the new claims continue to go lower and lower. People are not losing their jobs anymore. That's excellent. Now we just need to provide more good jobs for people to jump back into. And then we're doing the war on cattle. You guys, beef prices are insane. They just went up again. It's crazy. It's terrible. I know my family eats a lot of beef because it's the healthiest meat for you. It's the most nutritious and best protein. You should eat red meat, especially if your kids are young. It's tough, though. It's very expensive. And that's all by design. See, they wanted us to just eat nonstop chicken, pork. Those are fine time to time, but if that's all you're eating, you're just not getting the same strength. Our testosterone levels are way down. Some of that's tied to less beef eating. That's not good. They want to kill the masculine spirit, masculine energy. That's what they're afraid of. Remember, cow farts cause climate change? Yeah, they were culling herds like crazy. This was the globalist agenda. This is why prices are high. The Trump administration now is finally starting to reverse that. Listen to this. Here's Secretary Rollins.
Listen, what we are facing in America today is the direct result of a war on cattle by the previous administration. Frankly, a war on agriculture and a war on farming in general. When you've got a prior administration that is basically blaming cattle for their crazy climate agenda, then you have a real problem. And you combine that with people are eating more beef today than ever before, which is actually really, really good news. Secretary Kennedy and I obviously have been working on new dietary guidelines. We have big announcements coming up on new school lunches. And eating real food is right in the middle of all of that. And so while we're working on combining all of this, ensuring that our ranchers have what they need to continue to rebuild their herds. But listen, here's the good news. For the first time since 2018, we're now seeing a turn where the cattle numbers are now moving back up.
That's
where
huge.
Ranchers are retaining their heifers, their mama cows, how they breed, their heifers, are retaining at a higher rate than they have now in years. So I think the administration, President Trump's focus on our ranchers, on rural America, on rebuilding our food supply here continues to be a priority, and our ranchers are getting that message. Jackie, I think one really important point that it needs to go stated is this. The first time in American history in 2023, we became a net food importer, meaning that the Biden administration's policies basically wrecked what we were doing in America, and we started to import a lot more of our food. We cannot survive as a country, right? We will not know freedom unless we can feed and fuel ourselves. So the opportunity to change that trajectory, to work on that trend, and we're seeing that again for the first time in a number of years, is really, really important.
First time in 8 years, the head of cattle is increasing. The herds are increasing again. That means by next year, we should start seeing prices trending down. And that means if we keep this trend going, in about 3 years, 4 years, depending on the turn. I think it's a 5-year cycle usually with cattle. In about 3 to 4 years, we should start really seeing beef prices hit lows again, kind of like what Trump did with eggs. Takes a lot longer, but it does happen. The Trump administration, again, though, it's working. And I tell you guys this all the time. Sometimes you just have to look at the signs of where we are building, okay, where we're starting, and what that's telling us about what's coming, okay? This is a sign of very good things to come for beef. And beef, I got to say, it's one of the only food that has been sticky, staying up. Everything else, not everything else, but almost everything else. And I know, trust me, I know groceries. I do our family shopping half the time. I feed 6 kids, family of 8. I know the prices. And most prices have either completely stabilized the last couple years or gone lower. But that one that is not is beef. And that does affect my family quite a bit. But I can tell you that I see it every day when I go, and I shop at Aldi, which many people should, especially if you're struggling to keep up. It's way cheaper. And you also get good food. But all that said, I've noticed it. But the beef, man, what about the beef? Beef, not for dinner until it goes down. I get it. But we're headed there. And she mentioned our supply chain. Well, we're making big inroads there. Look at this. North Carolina just got $100 million to expand lithium production. Listen to this.
This is more than a new factory. It's an insurance policy against the possibility that the U.S. could one day need critical supplies and not be able to import them due to trade disputes or other factors that could choke off supplies. So Washington is now pumping money into the domestic supply chain right here in the Triangle.
As global competition increases, the capability and the footprint of our domestic manufacturing base, it's essential.
Did you hear that? Federal dollars investing. Again, it's the Hamiltonian system. We are actually investing in infrastructure. Imagine that. Infrastructure and manufacturing. I don't think people understand just how good this is all going to be for us in the future. We are just at the beginning of so many good things. Look at it with deportations. People have been constantly, the deportations were no mass deportations. Remember the PSYOP they ran a month ago attacking Mark Wayne Mullen? Oh, he's an amnesty guy. It was better under Kristi Noem. Or 2 months ago, the big PSYOP that was going around, mass deportations were halted. They stopped them. Trump is lying to us. Meanwhile, July's numbers came in and were record highs. Well, listen, it's ramping up just like I told you guys it would. Here's Benny Johnson reporting. Something big's about to happen with deportations. You should be ready for this. I spoke with senior DHS official. They shared deportation numbers that stunned me. 27,000 deportations last week. 3,600 a day average, really ramping up. That's 1.4 million deportations across the calendar year. Remember, guys, this is forced deportation. This is not self-deportations. These are the ones they're actually going and getting. So when people see this, that's not the full number. In fact, it's the low end of it. 69,000 illegals are in DHS jails waiting to be deported at this moment. And you haven't heard a blip about it. Stealth tactics. We're everywhere in every major city. We tell no one. Plain clothes, beat up old cars, quick work, tactical strikes. No one sees anything. No drama, no tears, no media circus. You're going back home where you belong. This is how you avoid the press. This is how you win the battle of the narrative. Because if they just disappear and you're not seeing the violence, the intensity, you're not people freaking out, all of a sudden it can just happen. They learned. This is Tom Homan coming in and saying when he took over in February after Bovino and Noem had all the agents out on the street causing a ruckus, people getting killed. And don't get me wrong, ICE did what they needed to do in those situations, but it looked terrible. And there was a major push to do it. So what did Trump do? He didn't stop him. He put Homan in charge. And now look what's happening. Here's where it gets insane. DHS told me blue states are quietly and secretly working with the Trump admin. Oh, look at that. Many of the blue states, and I guarantee you it's not all of them, but many of them secretly going along with it. And that tells me the pressure campaign from the Trump administration is working as well. Criminal alien issue has become so politically toxic and costly. Democrat governors have given the green light to sheriffs and police in major blue cities to drop their illegals off with undercover ICE. It's happening. You just don't see it. Here's here's a quick little graphic of what it looked like them coming into our country. That's crazy. This is, he reversed it. Okay, this was them pouring in, now they're pouring out. But anyways, just crazy stuff. The other where we're winning is undoing a lot of these nonsense government programs. Stephen Moore talking on the New York Times, very angry. Trump admitted to deregulate Head Start. Head Start, which we are told is necessary to educate your kids. That's not really what they want. They want your kids in the system from the beginning so they can indoctrinate them. They can take away their creative abilities and teach them to be yes, sir, no, sir, good employees. That's why they want them in Head Start immediately. They don't want you to raise your kids. This is a communist system. That's the whole Head Start program. And yes, I understand some people need it because they have to work. I understand that. I have sympathy for those situations, but I'm also telling you that when you give your kids over to the state, it's going to be extremely difficult to protect them. But since 1966, $240 billion spent on Head Start. Obama really ramped this up. And he says early gains in school readiness faded by the end of first grade and were gone by third grade. In other words, there are no gains. There are none. You know, in Japan, they have their kids just learn values and play until they're 10 years old. The school system is about teaching the kids values and a good time. And then at 10, they start actually doing the learning, quote unquote, learning of alphabet, math, etc. And Japan's kids are doing much better than ours, I gotta say. But deregulating it, look at the fear. While admin officials say the changes will save money by lifting onerous requirements, advocates fear the anti-poverty program will be gutted. This is how Trump is trying to crush the actual program. You just deregulate it and you start opening options up for more private schools, people doing good daycare centers, not government-run ones, stuff like that. This is another big win. The kind of stuff we don't see very much, but when they're reporting it, when the New York Times is reporting it, it's out of fear. And we love that. Now, finally, we got to talk about data centers again, because the more I look into data centers, the more I'm just being convinced that what Trump is doing with data centers here, I'm not talking about all data centers. I do believe there was a deep state push on the data centers, et cetera, et cetera. But what's being done here is important for where we're taking our economy. And I think more and more people are waking up to this. Peter St. Ong, though, reporting how afraid people are. People oppose nearby data centers more than nuclear power plants. And he reports he's lived in Virginia's data center alley, and you can't even tell they're there. So this is impressive scare marketing. And you can see it right here, the fear in it. But then we're seeing the benefits that are coming out. Here is a Virginia county taxed data centers and cut property taxes 60%. Listen to this little breakdown real quick.
I believe it, Jesse. Let's settle the argument here. Is it data centers or data centers? Because or Galaxy. What do you
I have a new one.
Yeah.
It's not Galaxy castles anymore.
Okay.
Golden tickets.
Golden tickets.
From Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Everyone wants a golden ticket in their yard, right?
Yep.
Because these towns have to shake these companies down. Zuckerberg is spending $143 billion this year building out AI infrastructure. And he has a $1 billion slush fund that he's just going to throw at towns. What do you want? What do you need? They're giving $50,000 bonuses to teachers in this town in Louisiana. They're going to police chiefs. What do you guys want? What do you guys want? We'll give it to you. Superintendents, give you anything you want. Let me tell you a little bit about a place called Loudoun County, Virginia. Loudoun County, Virginia just built a $100 million rec center. 3 pools, hydro massage chairs. I don't even know what that is. $22 million park. They just cut property taxes by 60%. You want to know why? They got data centers there, and they slap taxes on them, and they're making an extra $1.3 billion a year. They don't even know what to do with all the money. There's like not a single pothole. They're building schools, extra fire trucks.
So
all you have to do is you shake Zuck down, Bezos. You say, guys, you want to build a data center? Fine. We're going to slap a 2% tax on it, and it's gonna be a golden shower of money.
Listen, that's a little bit hyperbolic, but I'll say this. The more I look into data centers, the less I have concern about them. And I believe they're going to be ultimately used for a different purpose than what people fear, which is this whole surveillance state. Trump would not be in favor of that, folks. There is a lot of stuff that's coming out of the data centers, including building these giant warehouses and industrial centers where once they're no longer needed, which because the AI is eventually trained in the future, once that's all happened, then they can be used for other things. On these long-term leases, more industry, manufacturing. Everything Trump does is about industry and manufacturing. Here's a guy who actually went and tested the whole sound theory. They're too loud. What'd he find? That it's the same as the common outdoor sounds. Bought a decibel meter from Amazon, went to a data center. Right outside it reads 52 to 54. It's the same as a common outdoor noise. And I'm not saying that's true for every single one of them, but that is true in this case. Here's J.D. Vance talking about the data centers.
First of all, they're big facilities. You create a lot of construction jobs. And this next generation of the technological revolution, you need those data centers to make that run. Those data centers are like the gasoline of the technology revolution that we're going to see over the next 75 years. And I don't know about you all, but I want America to win that technology revolution. I don't want China or some other country to win it. And so that's why we got to have these things. Now, here's the downside. If those centers are built and the local governments aren't ensuring that there's enough power for those data centers, then it's going to increase electricity costs for everybody else. And so what we think the data centers have got to do is they've got to work with the local governments, with the state governments, and in the federal government, we are trying to do everything that we can so that if you build a data center, for example, you can just build a power plant right next door. What I think we ought to be working towards is you build those data centers and electricity costs come down for American citizens instead of going up for American citizens. The data centers can afford it. We got to make sure that they're good neighbors so that when they come in and build these great buildings, the people in their neighborhood, the people in their community benefit too, and that's through lower power. That's the best way they can be good neighbors.
You see what they're saying? This is Trump, Vance, everybody who's paying attention to this. It's that the data centers are fine so long as we make sure, the local communities make sure. And this is how I talked to this with Blaine Holt. You know, the number one way, because tech, you can't stop tech. If you stop tech, we will be taken out. There's just, we have to advance. Humanity, if we're not advancing, we're dying. There's no going back, folks. You have to advance. So what do? You empower the people to keep things in check, to make sure that there's no overreach. You decentralize the government. You keep the rights strong. That's how you keep tech in check while also allowing them to keep advancing. And that's what the people are doing right now. This data center debate is great. The problem is they're not being, it's not being truthful. People are only talking about the detriments and not the benefits. The fact is the benefits are going to be more if we make sure they're more. As Professor Peter St. Ong says here, is exactly what data centers should be doing. Pay locals enough to slash, ideally repeal property taxes. We already saw Loudoun County. Here's Quincy, Washington. 30 facilities shoulder an estimated 57% of local property taxes. Funded high school, library, hospital. This is also in Georgia. These data centers are cutting property taxes for wherever they're at, almost wherever they're at, and lowering energy as long as the communities make sure of it. That's the responsibility. That's what we do. Do not be afraid of data centers. They're a tool. The whole fear mongering about them is, I'm sorry, it's retarded. It's the same thing people did with 5G. 5G is going to activate the little nanobots in your body from the COVID vaccine. Do you guys remember that nonsense? The whole Whitney Webb, every tech is bad. It's all technocracy, always techno-fascist crap. No, we have to advance. If we don't advance, we go backwards. It's our job to police it, to stay on top of it. Make sure none of this stuff can overreach. And we can do that because Trump is empowering people to have strength again, to have a say again, just like we always should have. This is how we advance. And by the way, folks, I believe that the real reason, one of the reasons Trump is pushing the data centers is because it's the backdoor way to fix our energy grid and infrastructure. We do that. We get energy cheaper. We have a stronger grid. We have a more decentralized grid. And all of a sudden we're in a much, much better place. And we can do it. We can do it without having to go through Congress because the private sector will do it. That, friends, is how we win. And that's how we set up our future for a better future. Oh, and by the way, then we have these giant buildings when they're no longer needed for that. They can be immediately turned into industry facilities, manufacturing facilities. It can be great. So again, ultimately the data centers are coming whether you like it or not. You're not going to win this battle. Just like the people fearing 5G didn't win that battle, or 6G. They're not going to win it. We are going to advance. The question is, will we all do our part to monitor it? I ultimately think there's going to be a huge win. And when they are all in place, as long as we're staying on top of them, it's going to actually put a lot more money in our pockets. And again, make energy cheaper. Now, I do believe that's a win. And I believe Stephen Miller does an excellent job of breaking down all that Trump's doing right now. That's just so good for us in our future.
The legacy media, Sean, is fundamentally corrupt. They are an extension of, an arm of the Democrat Party. Honestly, Sean, the media, the legacy media like CBS and ABC and NBC and every other legacy outlet exists to serve and advance the interests of the Democrat Party. Throw in New York Times, throw in Washington Post, throw in The Atlantic. They should all be required to register as a Democrat political action committee. I mean, let's just think through some of the things that you mentioned. President Trump has been in office in his second term for a year and a half and has solved problems that plagued this nation for decades, generations, or even longer. I mean, just go through the foreign policy piece here. He's completely rebalanced our trading relationship with Canada. He has protected American manufacturing and essential supply chains from China. He has completely rebalanced NATO and ensured that other nations pay their fair share. He is now pursuing peace in the Korean Peninsula, which hasn't been achieved since the armistice in the 1950s. President Trump has single-handedly toppled Maduro, freed the people of Venezuela, and secured the greatest boon for America's energy and supply chains probably in the history of our country. He's taken the fight to the drug cartels, declared them a foreign terrorist organization, used military power to fight these enemies of human civilization. And as you have mentioned, he stopped Iran, the Islamic theocracy of Iran, from obtaining a nuclear weapon that could destroy an entire city. And now you come at home, he's unleashed American energy, he's building pipelines, he's bringing the price of gas down from the heinous highs of the Biden administration, he's taken inflation from the highest level in American history down to 2%. The largest tax cut in American history, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and he took the most unsecure, dangerous, violent, hellish border in the history of our republic, and 15 straight months, Sean, of zero releases, zero into the country.
That sounds like a pretty good presidency so far. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but it's quite the list of accomplishments for, oh, no, nothing's happening. And finally, guys, the big win, because this win affects everything. And this is happening under Trump's watch. He's not directly affecting it, but he's indirectly making this happen in our nation by bring the win that's happening culturally. Christianity is now surging in the United States. We're experiencing revival in the U.S. And why is this so important? Because politics, policy, economy is all downstream of culture. And as we get our hearts back, as we get our traditional values back, we will explode. Look at this little blip here from Fox News.
A Christian revival across the country. Bible sales increasing over 40% since 2022. Religion app downloads surging nearly 80%. That increase since 2019. And Christian music Spotify streams up 50% from 2019.
The biggest win has been in culture. As culture continues to get back on the traditional values, Christian values. In fact, whether you're Christian or not, I don't think anybody can deny at this point, you're better off in a Christian country than anywhere else. There's no debate anymore. We have hundreds of years of history to prove it. So regardless of what your belief system is, this is a massive win. As our country revives, we will be more involved. We will oversee, make sure data centers, tech bros don't overreach. We will make sure our Constitution is upheld. We will make sure our economy is working for the people and not for the globalists. We will ensure all of this. We will ensure real justice because we are more awake now than ever. We have more opportunity and access to information than ever. See, God always wins. And when they pushed us so hard, they pushed too hard and too fast. Trump helped spur that. Now the culture is shifting. And this, folks, is just started. Once something like this starts, it is 20 to 50 years of cultural shift and transformation before it's run through, before it's seen, it's the final of a phase. That means we are only at the beginning of everything good that's about to come. This is why I believe we're truly at the beginning of a golden age, and this is not a blip. We are headed in the right direction in many, many ways. All right, folks, hit that like and subscribe. Got a lot more coming to you. Some of you guys brought up some of the issues I'm going to talk about in the next segment. So look forward to getting to it. We're going to do midterms updates, election updates, and then end with a grifter report. So lots coming. I got to get to comments, though, because I saw some super chats come in and some tag comments. So let me take a minute and do that right now. Freeness with $2 super chat says, I wish I had more money to invest right now. I hear you. There's a golden future ahead. But maybe you'll get more money if we have a little downturn. Then you can jump in. Buy cheaper. Explorator with a $10 super chat says leftoids attack data centers because a bunch of tech CEOs donated to Trump last election. Dems use AI as a scare tactic to wedge voters. Everything online uses data centers. By the way, not just AI. 100% true. You're absolutely right. We've had data centers for decades. There's like 30,000 already in the US, even before this whole debate started. And yes, I agree. The AI propaganda has been insane. It is so fear-based. It really is spreading in the Christian community because people have convinced Christians that it's, these doomer Christians who have terrible eschatological theology and always believe everything's going to go evil. They believe it's the Antichrist. They believe it's, the devil. No, it's just tech. It's just a tool. And whoever's going to use it is going to see how it's used. But it's an advancement and it will bring great good if we let it. Ministry of Wrong Thing. By the way, thank you, Explorator, for the $10 super chat. Ministry of Wrong Thing. Also, thank you for a $10 super chat. Says Google is building a center on the outskirts of my Indiana town. They have their own water tower and their own power station. State's using the money to update the entire highway system around Fort Wayne. There you go. Absolutely. And that is happening. Now, I did see some other people who are very mad about their data centers in Ohio and said, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'll tell you this. That actually supports my point. Because what did I tell you? I said that communities have to make sure they don't overreach. If the data centers are being built on farmland, that's the community's fault for not fighting it. I'm sorry. That's just reality, folks. Do your job. Get involved. Sometimes you'll lose a battle. But if we stay on top of it, we'll win way more of the ones we lose. So keep fighting, keep making sure that the data centers go where it makes sense for them to go. They're not destroying good land. They're not, there's plenty of ugly land out there where they can go. We can always grow. And again, The benefits that come out of them are going to be determined upon the community, how involved they are when they go up. That's what we should do. They should be regulated by their communities. But holding them back altogether because of fear is stupidity. Okay? It's stupidity. And it's going to hurt us if we continue to do it. Let's see here. Sally says, I looked up who's funding the data centers around me. It's Citizens Action Coalition. They also get funding from the 1630 Fund and Arabella Advisors. Okay. I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Sorry. I can't pay attention to everything. There are some things I just don't understand. Okay. Or I haven't been alerted to. Let's see. What else here? I thought I saw a couple here. But there's so many. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to dig through. You gotta, please remember, you gotta tag me or super chat me so I can easily find stuff. But I do try to look through it. Could we see grocery prices go back down? I recently heard this is from Threads, economists saying it wouldn't get more expensive, but prices would never go in reverse. I hope that's not the case. It depends. Okay, Threads. It is true that some grocery prices will never go down because the fact is they're already being presented to you at the cheapest available way they can be with by the way they're produced, with the current rate of inflation. Okay, because unless there's deflation, which is hard to do with food, it can happen in many other things. Anywhere where you can innovate, there can be deflation. But if unless there's an innovation in the way a product is created, or it's directly impacted by energy, the odds of it going down are very low. So yes, many food prices will not go down, but many can. Beef, meat, all that can be done by supply and demand because it's already inflated. Anything that is directly impacted by gas prices because of transport or whatever, that can go down once gas prices go down. So there's a lot of food that can go down. So, but here's the other thing. Our dollar can get more powerful. So imagine if food prices stay the same, but gas goes down, your electric bill goes down, you're making more money. Well, then it's fine. See, if wages keep going up and the money stays the same, the food stays the same and there's not inflation, but you're making more money, all of a sudden, so that's how it ultimately balances out over time and you get ahead. But yeah, it's true that a lot of food will not go down. Castellan says, bring on data centers, huge positive. Don't let fear run your life. One important aspect is to ensure we have good, trustworthy people in power. That is a big part of it. And that's why we got to stay on top of it. Listen, folks, let me tell you something. Okay. Nobody's ever going to stop humans from innovating and advancing. You're just not going to stop it. So wherever it's stopped, somewhere else will do it. And then when somewhere else does it, then they become more powerful and advanced and they overtake. So the best thing you can do is keep advancing, but you have to do it smartly. And the problem is we all want to be able to sit on our butts, not do anything and say, hey, we just want to make sure everything's fine and then we can go about our lives. I'm sorry, that's not real life. It's just like your body. Okay. You know what's going to happen if you don't stay on top of it? It's going to get fat. It's going to get sick. That's what's going to happen if you just do whatever you want. Well, unfortunately, that same thing applies to your work, your success, your money, and yes, your community, and yes, your nation. You have to stay on top of these things. Everybody thinks you can get to a point in life where you can just sit back and everything's easy. No. Anytime you get to a point where everything's easy for a long period of time, eventually you're going to pay a price for that. That's the world we live in. I'm sorry. You have to fight. For really, get the F out of here. I'm so done with you. You're just twisting my words. You're seriously retarded. You need help. I've put up with you for a long time. I'm done. No more just easy bans. No more timeouts. You're done. I'm so sick of your crap. You just twist my words and you're just a total fraud. Get out of here. Navy Spook says, Director Kash Patel opened an investigation in Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown's husband. selling access. What? That's huge. We'll get to that more tomorrow. Dang, I can't wait to see some of that. DJ says, deflation can happen if we deport all the illegals, meaning less food is being eaten, less food being purchased. Well, that's true. Supply and demand can lower prices as well. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Use it or lose it. That's right. Absolutely. You know what really deport that retard? You know what drives me nuts? I do try to give people the benefit of the doubt unless they're being obvious. But when I say something and you guys you're all born with a brain. You all have the ability to critical think, and you all have the ability to try to understand when I'm presenting something. And so if I say something and then the feedback I get is just cherry picking what I said, taking it out of context, or not understanding my point of view after the thousands of hours of content I presented, and then you keep doing it, I got to say, like, you're gone. I don't want that in my community. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'm not a politician. I don't have to put up with it. This community is for critical thinkers and people who are patriots for this country. And it doesn't mean I'm always going to be right, but the way that was being presented, like I'm just dooming and trying to get people to just accept whatever. F that, dude. That is retarded. I am huge on personal responsibility and engagement, and there's always hope. And I even started my show with that today. You guys know it. Violence says, here's my take. If the new tech goes horribly, horribly wrong, fire cleans up messes nicely. There you go. There's always a way to fix it, right? Yeah, I reported on Swalwell. Thank you, though. All right. Well, let's get into the next segment, shall we, guys? We're going to talk about the midterms and where we're at, okay? Because there's a lot going on. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. Steak prices will eventually go down. Yeah. Steak prices will eventually go down. Coslam says, culture is key to our golden age. That's important for all of us to remember every day with every person we interact with. Christian ethics, even if you're not a believer, this is our home. 100%. 100%. So, all right. You guys ready? Lots more to get into. So, talking about the midterms and election updates. Well, guys, I got to say, there is so much good happening for the Republican side of things that they don't want you to know about. And by Republican, I mean MAGA. I mean the movement we're a part of, not just traditional Republicans, who I'm not a fan of. At least not that party and what it stood for. But where we're at now, and a big part of that is election integrity, where the drops just keep coming. The awakening keeps happening, which means we're going to get closer and closer to having true, free, and fair elections. Here's a whistleblower for the Democrat Michigan Secretary of State's office giving us even more details into our rigged elections. This guy was working directly with them.
Just came forward to say a whistleblower from the Michigan Secretary of State's office revealed their election software is programmed in a way to automatically register non-citizens, including illegal immigrants, to vote whenever they update their addresses. Do you see this as a problem? Do you see the DOJ getting involved there? Does it sound alarm bells for you?
Well, if that's true, that is definitely out of whack with our federal election statutes, and I will certainly be looking into that. And whenever we find a report of something like that, we actually have opened up numerous investigations around the country. I can't talk about criminal investigations, of course, but many of our investigations have been very public, and they're ongoing, and they will not stop.
Absolutely.
Boom. Keep it coming. So this said that a whistleblower was saying their election software is programmed to automatically register non-citizens, just like in Jersey. See, folks, it's happening little by little. Now, Trump dropped this last night about the convention coming up. Remember, this will be the first midterm convention in history. You don't do conventions for midterms generally because the conventions were originally held for delegates to come together and vote for the president, to choose the nominee. That's what a convention traditionally was for. A rally is when you get people around just to get excited about voting for somebody. But a convention has a purpose. This is the first midterm convention ever because it wasn't needed before. Now, some are speculating that maybe, just maybe, this convention we're going to actually use to choose our real candidates. I'm not so sure that's true, but I will leave open the possibility. Regardless, what this will be is the biggest rally. It soaks up all the attention. The Democrats don't have the money to put on theirs. And then give us some major momentum going into the midterms. Now, Trump wrote this yesterday. The midterm convention's coming to Dallas, Texas, September 9th and 10th. There'll be a rally like never before. Incredible. For the first time ever, Republicans from all across our country will come together for a midterm convention to celebrate our tremendous victories and success, showcase our incredible candidates, and prepare for the most important midterm election in history. Our movement is bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. We have made America great again. We're going to celebrate this tremendous and totally unprecedented success. Radical left lunatics are trying to destroy our country. They have failed and will never be successful unless we allow that to happen, and we won't. All caps. We are going to win the midterms, protect and cherish our country, and make it greater than ever before. Be there September 9th and 10th. It'll be like nothing else. Music, excitement, importance of this evening will be at levels never seen at convention or political event. And that is interesting. I'll be here both nights. See you in Dallas, says Trump. Music, excitement, importance of this event will be at levels never seen at a convention or political event. Now that gets me curious. Is this Trump just his usual boisterous enthusiasm? Maybe. Or are we going to get some interesting news out of this? Does Trump know he's going to completely control the narrative by doing this? Also interesting, it's on the anniversary of Charlie Kirk's death. I think that's fascinating as well. Regardless, one thing I can guarantee you this is going to accomplish, it's going to get in front of many, many people all kinds of things that are happening that most people never see and it's been hidden from them. The kind of stuff I cover on this channel, the wins, it's going to be front and center for 2 days where the media is going to be really struggling not to cover it. Because in the dog days of September, there's not much going on. Trump's going to be blasting us out there. So this is a big deal. Trump knows it. Trump knows nobody else. Nobody else knows the media better than Trump how to get their attention. This is going to get stuff out there. And I'm very excited for what can come out of this. Now, here's a great breakdown from Consciousness here. It says midterm convergence in the GOP rally. It's a beautiful strategy. Here's what I'm observing. Trump isn't just breaking political tradition. He's shocking the system to realign it around a North Star. That's an interesting thought. In systems dynamics, when a complex system becomes fragmented, sluggish, and trapped in its own routine, sometimes you don't fix every piece individually. You introduce a disruption large enough to break the existing rhythm, capture attention, pull the parts towards a common center. That's what Dallas looks like. I agree. First comes the break with tradition. This creates surprise and captures political oxygen. Attention creates convergence. Candidates, donors, activists, media messaging, and voter energy suddenly concentrating around the same movement. In other words, this can shock the midterm malaise and turn it into an event so exciting that you get presidential levels of turnout. Because now you're making the election feel like a presidential election. You're making MAGA coalesce and join together in celebration in a way that makes us all feel good again to be a part of this instead of waiting 4 years in between. The flow, convergence creates synchronization. Synchronization creates unity. Unity creates amplification. Amplification becomes momentum. When that energy is pushed back outward through hundreds of campaigns and millions of people, zoom out strategy comes to life. It draws attention. Same thing. It becomes a forcing function because while your own system is being pulled into alignment, the opposing system is being knocked out of rhythm, as it already is, because the Democrats are in civil war right now, thanks to the DSA. They have to decide now whether ignore it, attack it, counter, or reorganize. I use the same principle when looking at complex systems. Sometimes the fastest path back to the North Star is not another incremental adjustment. Sometimes you break the cycle. And I agree with this. If Dallas works, midterms stop behaving like hundreds of separate races and start moving like a synchronized system aimed at a single North Star. Nothing can stop what is coming. This is how you get everybody to vote in the midterm straight red. You don't get them to look at their candidate on an individual level and say, well, maybe I don't like this guy, so I'll vote for the Democrat. No, you just say, we are moving in alignment, and you get all the people built around that. Now, here's another layer. Sun Tzu. The rally is the visible event, strategies underneath. Sun Tzu wrote that after concentrating forces, commander must blend and harmonize different elements. This is exactly what this looks like. Break the normal midterm rhythm, seize the political oxygen, pull candidates, donors, activists, media, and voters into one compression point, then unify the entire network around one message, one tempo, and purpose. At the same time, Sun Tzu warned against allowing the enemy to unite its forces. That's where the pressure flips. Trump's concentrating his own system while forcing the opposition to scatter its attention across the event, candidates, message, media cycle, and races that leave Dallas carrying the momentum. Once I saw Dallas through that lens stop looking like a rally, started looking like battlefield preparation. And maybe, just maybe it is. It's brilliant regardless, because again, it's going to soak up so much attention that it's going to rattle the Democrats. It's not going to allow them to just attack individuals as easily anymore. See, the midterms, one of the differences between midterms and presidential years, is that in a presidential year, everybody gathers around one candidate. You choose a side, and then you usually vote downstream of that. Senators, House members, almost always you're going to vote with the presidential candidate is. You don't have that unifying feature in a midterms unless we do, which is, I believe, what Trump's doing, and it is absolutely brilliant. Now, amidst this, we've been getting all kinds of narratives to worry about what's coming. And one of those was just the other day in Florida, that James Fishback got all the youth votes. So we're screwed in the future. Well, that just got debunked, as Byron Donalds did actually win the youth vote. So it shows you that the whole push of who Trump endorses, whether you like Byron Donalds or not, Trump did decide he was the guy to get Florida stay red. And so the endorsement worked, and the youth vote still went with him. And so that's important, okay? Because we're going to get more and more psyops about the elections during all this. Remember, there's that whole sphere out there that's trying to divide MAGA. And this is just more proof it's not working. Democrats, meanwhile, getting crazier and crazier in their in their tactics. Karen Bass just announced this. Any donations towards her campaign will be matched via taxpayer funds. Listen to this insanity. And only in California could something this crazy be legal. Listen to this.
Your donation to our campaign is more critical right now than ever before. Let me explain. Thanks to LA's Supermatch program, every qualified donation from Los Angeles residents is matched 6-1 by the city. But after the primary, we had to start over from scratch. So we need you to rush your matching donation right now to help fuel this campaign. Chip in $5 right now, and the city turns it into $35. Chip in $25 right now, and the city turns it into $175. Make your matching donation today.
So they have created a money-making machine in Los Angeles where the government will now pay 6-1 your donation for their candidate when she's fighting somebody else. I mean, this is just more proof of how insanely rigged these things are. This means that, yeah, even if you're a Republican paying your taxes, it's going to Karen Bass. How insane is this? But again, the vast majority of people will see this and see it as a problem. This is more, this is more exposure. Okay, that's what's going to become good out of this, that there's national attention now on a citywide campaign in California. And the more that this comes out, the more it'll be fought back against. So while it's horrific and terrible, it's also so insane it's going to backfire. And we have a lot of that going on. Here is, remember, Talarico decided he's going to try to get the black vote. He's bringing in Olivia Giuliana, the whale, to help him. And he's going to quite extreme measures to get the black vote. Here he is on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God. What a stupid name that is. Telling black voters a crazy story that I think this is going to be terrible for him in the general. Listen to this.
of Texas. We see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that Black Texans have been have not gotten the justice they deserve in many cases. And I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no Black members of the jury. And to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for Black Texans.
Carmelo Anthony, for those who don't know, walked up to a white kid in a Texas football game and stabbed him in the chest right there, unprovoked. Just stabbed him in the chest. And now Carmelo Anthony is guilty. He is in prison. Thank God. One of the most horrific crimes we've seen that got national attention in a long time. It's obvious. There was literally no defense to it whatsoever. And Talrico, that, by the way, this is known very well in Texas. Talrico, in order to get Black votes, is now saying, oh, yeah, he only was guilty because he had an all-white jury. You know how insane that is? They think this is going to help them. This is going to backfire tremendously. Because for one thing, there's plenty of Black people who don't want to be patronized like this. For another thing, there's a whole lot of white people and Hispanics who are saying, what the heck did you just say? This, my friends, though, is how far they're willing to go. This tells you how sick these people are, that they are okay with murder as long as they can use it to get themselves elected. Again, the Democrats are showing us who they really are, and it gets worse and worse and worse. But having said that, they can still win some elections, and they did just win an election in Lancaster County, in a special election where Butler, Pennsylvania is in an off year. This is shocking the system. You see here, a Democrats leading in the special election. First, Democrats flip a Republican heavy seat in Lancaster. Then they sweep the state in 2025. Oh, it's so scary. The problem is you can't read too much from this. This is being used as fear porn to scare everybody about the midterms and to, again, divide MAGA and make us seem like Trump is terrible. Seth Keshel, though, who actually monitors this stuff historically and all the data behind it, gives us a real breakdown. Says, I love when everyone forgets how special elections work every time there's a stupid result. I follow elections as a way of life. Heard about this race yesterday. Now imagine how little anyone there thought of it who doesn't sit online all day. That's right. A special election 3 months before the midterms when it's just going to be done all over again. That is stupid. And nobody votes. Says it'll flip back by double digits on November 3rd. Not only was it Trump plus 18, the rep who won it and resigned this year was plus 29. Less than 40% the number of votes cast in 24. One side circled as a narrative win and got done will never be able to do it again. Special elections are basically penalty kicks against the party in power. In other words, the only people who show up for special elections are the people who hate what's happening. All Democrats showed up for this. It doesn't mean anything. And I already had some people asking me earlier, what does this mean? Kind of afraid of it. Well, it doesn't mean anything. And so don't worry. Don't worry. Now, with all this being said, heading into the midterms, I saw this great little video of who's in charge right now. This is Sean Duffy, our transportation secretary. And this is him dealing with his daughter. And I wanted to show this because it's a great example of how culture is shifting. And this is our people at the top, but this is spreading downstream. And it's just another example of how what's happening now, what's happened in the past is being undone. And we're thinking new now. This is only increasing. Watch this.
Can't say no.
To Harvard?
Yeah.
Well, me and Mom can say no.
Catholicism to us is everything. It's the basis of our marriage. It's the basis of our family. So I'm nervous about the idea of Paloma going to Harvard. We spend a lot of time nurturing and providing formation for our kids, giving them an environment where they are steeped in faith and values. And so the idea of dropping her off at a place that would undermine that or try to undo all those things makes me worried.
And again, I don't want them to get one viewpoint. I want them to get a lot of different viewpoints. but I don't want them fed only one viewpoint that's contrary to the way my kids were raised.
We're at the point now where even quote unquote the elites, or at least those in power positions in our country, are now even telling their kids, you can't go to Harvard. Folks, that is actually a really big deal, because Harvard, Yale, etc. have always been looked at as the gold standard of everything. You go there. Oh yeah, there's a leftist bent, but it's always in college. And you just do it to move up, to make those connections, to get into politics, to live. Like it was like the cheat code to become successful and important in our country. And now even those people are rejecting it. That's a big shift. And the more this gets out there, the more we see this, the more Harvard, these institutions lose their power, and it starts spreading to the people and it's spreading out. Again, college is no longer being looked at, especially the upper class college, the higher institutions, the Ivy League schools. They're no longer being in that silo. This is a great example of how our culture is shifting. Our culture is shifting, and it's going to be a long-term shift. This is just the beginning. Absolutely huge. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you guys today, just before the election, is listen, if you have a young person in your life or a moron who wants to vote for the Democrats, thinks the socialists is the way to go, somebody put this great video together, and I highly recommend showing it to anybody who's flirting with these ideas at all. Let's check this out.
Housing is a human right. People over profit. Workers deserve more. Defund the police. Oh, I hate it here. Just literally get me to the future.
I'll take you. Let's go.
Seriously?
Buckle up and get ready to see the future you've been waiting for.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Where are we?
Your hometown. In the future. Housing's guaranteed now. Everyone gets a home of their own.
Wait, everyone gets free housing from the government? Ooh, can mine be near the beach or have a pool?
Maybe, but probably not. Beach property is very rare, so you'll probably be assigned one of these.
Oh, but I don't want to live here.
Well, you don't have a choice. Can you believe it? The future finally has zero waste.
Incredible. Can I please have an iced oat milk latte? Did you bring your own mug? No mug, no service. Oh, okay. If I bring my own mug, can I get the oat milk latte? Oat milk latte? Oat milk is very wasteful. We only serve black coffee, nothing else.
Forget about the coffee shop. Wait till you see the government-run grocery stores.
Wait, you mean to tell me the government pays for my groceries now?
The future is bright.
This can't be right. $40 for eggs? The coupon is only for $100. I won't be able to afford groceries.
The future's also a little bit expensive.
Oh my gosh, someone call the police.
What do you mean police? There's no police anymore. Have some compassion. She's probably having a hard time.
I think I have to get out of here.
No problem. It's a perfect time to show you the public transit. It's all free now.
Oh, that's good. Wait, why isn't anyone driving them?
Workers deserve more, so the drivers don't actually show up usually, but they're nice trains to hang out in.
I don't think I'm feeling so good.
You'll be happy to know that healthcare is totally free now for everyone.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, you came at the right time. The wait for an appointment is only 72 days. Wait, are you serious? Well, if it's an emergency, it's only a 2-week wait. I need to go home. You need to take me home, please, right now.
But Maya, this is the future you wanted. Isn't it wonderful?
Take me back!
Take the DSA poster. So good. That is a wonderful video. So again, folks, this is the kind of thing, show it to your kids, especially before they go to college, get to them first and, let them see the outcomes of what people say are so great, what's being touted to them. We are shifting. We are starting to wake up. There is a large contingency of our nation that has started to believe the lies about socialism. But I'm here to tell you that that's actually always been the way it is. It just wasn't as outward as it is now. As this continues to spread and people actually face these ideas, we have to be able to counter message it. And if we can counter message it and show where it all leads to, we can win. Again, tell your kids early because they're much more likely to trust the people they hear it from first. There is a in your brain, when you first hear something, an idea, a fact, it sticks with you, and you actually have to unlearn it later in order to, and so this is why it's so important. That's why they didn't want you talking politics and religion at the table, because they didn't want you to teach your kids about the things that matter most. They wanted it to be done. But we can beat these people. Right now, Americans are not at their core communists. They hate communism. Most of the ones who think socialism is okay or acceptable or even worth trying don't really know what it is. It's been packaged in a bunch of candy for them to digest, or not digest easily, but to go down a little easier. It's the spoonful of sugar. They've been lied to. We teach them what it really is. People will reject it hard. And this is why James Carville, Chris Matthews, John Fetterman, so many Democrats in positions of power who understand, who have common sense, are freaking out about this DSA takeover, because they know they cannot tell you what they actually want, what they actually believe, because it will be rejected. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. And listen, we're winning. We're trending in the right direction. Again, culture is shifting. And with the midterms convention money coming up, we haven't even begun to fight ahead of this midterms. So no dooming. We're heading in the right direction. I think this midterms is going to go really well for MAGA, for the Trump agenda. All right, folks, if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this segment. And next is the Grifter Report. Some of you have waited so patiently for it. Well, it's coming. It's a-coming. But first, let me take a minute and get into the chat. Catch up with you guys. Ministry of Wrong Thing with a $10 super chat said, one of the biggest tools against the right is utilizing the fractured nature of the right. Look at all the funny business that went down and unite the right. Trump's rally security needs to be perfect. Yeah, I mean, that is something, but I will say the convention will be closed off. It's going to be well planned. So I'm not too worried about that, but I agree with you. That's why the grifter class that we're going to be talking about in a minute, that's why they're trying to divide us and throw in, little things here and there to psyop us and tear us apart. But it's not going to work. We're not going to let it work. Thank you for the super chat. I speak for you with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, I think President Trump is waiting until the midterm elections are over and then to do the utmost to help ensure the U.S. future. May the Lord help him protect him. Amen. Friend, I agree with you. I believe after the midterms, it's going to be gloves off. There's going to be no more elections Trump has to fight for. And so he can be off the ticket heading forward, and that can free him up to do kind of whatever he wants to do. DJ says a commercial forgot to add thousands of Muslims praying on the streets and harassing to wear a hijab. Yeah, right. That could have been a part of it for sure. More winning, less whining. I like that. Oh, look at this. 4 really coming more in accounts. Hey, retard, I'll block them all. I don't care. Takes me 2 seconds. Takes me 2 seconds. I didn't double speak at all. You are just a retard. And I don't know why you spend your time on this channel unless you just have nothing better to do. Do you live in your mom's basement? I love how you're coming on my channel to troll on a different account and you announce yourself. Are you just that stupid? Oh my God. Let's see. Trump's primary success was 96%. I agree. People are way more on his side than they think. Send this to your little sister. She's 21, doesn't talk politics with us because she thinks differently. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't think at all. Whenever people say that, it's so crazy to me. It's like, if you're threatened by somebody's beliefs, that means you're not confident in your own beliefs, Like, listen, I have a lot of beliefs. I'm Christian. I'm conservative. I'm a big, I believe in what President Trump's doing. I have all kinds of strong beliefs and things that I, strongly, I'm passionate about. I'm not afraid of the opposing argument. In fact, I welcome it. I like it, because when people challenge me, that means I get to challenge back. That's fun for me, because I have deeply embedded beliefs on why I believe these things. And so I can defend myself. Beretta says, we told our daughter you aren't going to Michigan. She's in a Southern school that's literally surrounded by churches. Her roommates are Christian. Awesome. Well done, parents. You actually told your daughter no. Imagine that. It's great. Great thing to do. Kids do not know what's best for them. Let's see. Brenda says, this is the most positive show I've ever seen. Love it. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. You know, I am very positive, but I also try to always bring my receipts so that you guys can see I'm not positive without reason. I'm not, delusional. After the midterm, Trump will nuke John Thune. I think there's going to be a big push for that. I really do. Never underestimate the narcissism and demand for attention from leftists. Oh, that's true. Why do I say Alex Jones is a drunk? What? Are you serious? Well, here, let me show you. And let's just pull up an example, shall we? How about, first of all I got to show you is the last time he was on Tim Pool's podcast, where he was blitzed drunk. But here's him stumbling in to InfoWars.
Shoot a report, but I'm just wondering if Trump's been held hostage or something. Well, listen, I'm not mad about this. He's mad that he's wrong.
You hear the slurring?
And he's mad he got set up by Israel. And he once a man, twice a child. This is dementia. And so, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep intervening. He knows he was wrong about Iran. He's throwing a fit. And it's okay. We're going to continue.
Or where is the, maybe it was the top one, was the Tim Pool segment. Oh, wait, here we are.
Come back. I'm going to come back.
Come back whenever you want.
How long are you in Austin?
Couple weeks.
Here for South by Southwest.
We're not here for it, but we're here during it. One of the reasons I came down here is I was going to be playing poker at the lodge, and then the state shut them down. I'm pissed about it.
What's weird was I texted you a week ago. Somebody texted me and said, hey, Tim's here, come on the show. I'm like, am I supposed to be on your show? Like, I don't know, but play poker.
Yeah. Well, we want to do a poker game with you and a few other people. Not so much about poker, but about having fun, goofing off, and I think it'd be really fun to play a game.
I'm ready. I'm ready. But don't follow me at Real Life Shows on X, Infowars.com. We're getting shut down. We beat so many attacks, but finally we're shutting down like the middle of next month.
Wow.
It's gonna be insane what happens. People
Yeah. So
the
this
fake
is
receiverships, the fake auctions, all of it's happening right now.
So what are you gonna do? You're launching a new thing, or what are you doing?
Yeah, auctions now. We're really fine.
All right.
Come on, folks.
Are you leaving? Is that why you're saying all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am exhausted, brother.
Well, it's good to have you.
I was since 4 a.m. Unless you're gonna do a table dance for me.
No.
Not on this table.
None of this. Yeah.
Maybe next time.
This is
things
rough.
are probably like
this was the last.
Not going to withstand anybody.
Oh no, these are okay.
He's in a bad place.
Is it Real Life Shows on X? Gonna follow it.
Too late.
So that night, he fell and collapsed, and they had to call the hospital on him. For him. So, yeah, it's pretty rough, folks. He's got an issue, and yeah, he Alex has problems. Let's just put it that way. But there you go. He So yeah, if you ask, just remember that. I don't make that up. I don't randomly say that. I've seen it. I've heard it. So he's got an issue. He's got real issues. So just remember that. Listen, if you're someone like Alex Jones and you are, I'm just going to say it the way I see it. He lies, he makes stuff up. He has a bunch of grifters on. He's always running this show where everything's always an emergency. then selling supplements. He's doing everything he can to stay afloat while also like making himself more ridiculous by the day. He, and deep down, because all these people know like what they're doing is wrong when they're accepting payments, when they're pushing narratives, when they're lying to you. It rots your soul. It rots your soul, and you end up, turning to substance abuse a lot of the time. It ruins you. So, just, understand like that's a lot of these people have those issues, unfortunately, but Alex's is very, very open and, been on Showcase many times, but this was the worst one. This night on Timcast was absolutely the worst one. He couldn't even finish his, he couldn't even finish the show. So, Deepalm with $5 super chat says, I watch you and no one else because you always tell us the truth and let us know there's positivity in everything regardless of outcome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Deepalm. Really, really appreciate the support. Yeah. Again, there are real issues. There are real bad things, and you can't always see, not everything's good. Like if there's, like that woman that's in the news right now for killing her kids, there's nothing good coming out of that. Right. I mean, now down the road, like mental health awareness or, like something could come out of it, but we're not going to report that as good. Right. But yeah, in most everything, like, there's hope in the general sense of the word, in the general trend of our lives. There's hope, and there's hope for the future. There's hope for humanity. There's hope for our communities. There's hope for our nation. So yeah, in that aspect, I'm always going to communicate that. Republicans traditionally ignored the midterms, seeded them to Dems because the last thing the feckless cowards want to do is win overwhelmingly. Doc, no, in recent years, you're right. But that's not always true. Remember Gingrich in 94? That was a midterm election where we swamped and took over DC. You guys forget that there was a time when Republicans used to do better in midterms. That was like during Obama years. We swept into power in 2010 after Obamacare. We swept in 94 and held the House for 10 years almost? 12 years, something like that. So yeah, we've had midterms that went really well for us. But recently, since we've become the party of the people and not the party of the elites, now we do worse in the midterms because regular people are less likely to vote in the midterms. Philly says, what do I think about Christians always negative about Trump? I know some of the church I attend tell them being manipulated, lied to. There are really, even Christians. Listen, I've been a Christian. I grew up in the church. I served in the church 20 years. I was a pastor for over a decade. Christians can be very susceptible to psyops because when you have a theology that teaches you that things have to get worse for Jesus to come back, you're always looking for bad things. When you have a theology that teaches you that Israel is somehow more special than we are, that Jews are somehow more favored by God than we are, you tend to not like when something goes against that, or when a leader kind of exposes like a different thought process on that. I've also known a lot of Christians are very susceptible to conspiracies because they know the truth that there is a spiritual war going on. And because of that, they also sometimes get hooked into things that just take them down bad conspiracies that aren't true. So, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of people who believe that God would never work with somebody who can be crass, that God would never work with somebody who's been divorced, that once you become had some kind of big public sin or treated somebody bad, that God will never use you in a public way. And so they think Trump is not, can't be used by God because he's been divorced twice, or, you know, had multiple affairs. That kind of stuff, they just get in their head, and they have this so there's all kinds of reasons Christians can be against Trump, despite the fact that, the good news is the majority of Christians aren't. They're his strongest base. But there are some that are, you know, so. Who is the person I got mad at? Somebody in the chat who's retarded. Is the Nick Shirley bill legal? I don't think so. It's in you mean the one in California? No. And if it got through, it'd be done. It'd undo quickly. Could I do a deep dive on the grifting of Alex Jones in particular? I mean, I don't know if I'd have the time to do that all myself, but you can just go look in and just go through his show and see how many times he's lied and not told the truth and been proven wrong. It's been a lot, especially in the last 5 years. Explorator V with $5 super chat says God still found Samson useful even though he's brash and defied the Lord's command. Yeah, and he was a womanizer. People forget that about Samson. He was hooking up to Delilah. They were not married. Not only that, Delilah was she was directly working for the enemy. So he was hooking up with the enemy of his people, one of the beautiful women of his people who had loose morals, and Samson was all for it. Samson was not a good moral dude. He wasn't, but God used him anyways. So yeah. And look at, like, you know, the Apostle Paul, he was killing Christians, and God met him and turned him. And then he became the #1 missionary of all time. Who did Jesus choose as his disciples? He chose a tax collector who the people hated. You know, amidst others, he chose a bunch of sailors, like fishermen, who were crass and low society, uneducated, probably pretty rough. I mean, look at how brash he was. James and John were the sons of thunder. That wasn't because they were like easygoing guys. It was because they are hotheads. David murdered one of his best friends in Uriah, and then slept with his wife. Basically raped her because he just saw her, summoned her, and, raped Bathsheba because she didn't have his say. He was king. And God said, that's a man after my own heart. Now he faced consequences for all those things. Abraham lied several times, even gave his wife away to Pharaoh. And God was like, you're my chosen vessel. And God blessed him despite the lies, covered for him. Protected Sarah, even though she was being given away, because Abraham was a liar and a coward. So, if you read the Bible, God doesn't use perfect people. He uses people with good hearts. Okay. And so you just gotta and deep down, those people with good hearts often do dumb things. So we can't. First of all, Christianity is all about change, right? It's all about, you can change, you can grow, you can repent, you can be washed anew. So we have to always allow for change. The other thing is there are consequences for your actions. That's true. That's even in the New Testament. But it also doesn't mean God's favor isn't on you anymore. Your sin doesn't change. It hurts you. It hurts where you could go. If you're not, in life, it can hurt you. Even if, let's say you're a Christian, so you're already saved, right? Well, Christians can still sin. It doesn't take away your salvation, but what it does do, it can ruin your life. There's consequences for sin. And if you can make all kinds of terrible choices, but that doesn't mean God doesn't love you. It doesn't mean God won't restore favor upon you if you realign with him. So yeah, it's just, the Bible is, so the whole idea of Trump not being able to be used is so insane. So insane. Jesus was the only perfect person. That's true. Let's see here. Anything else before we move on? Okay. 7 cardinal deadly sins. I mean, that's a Catholic teaching. It's not it's not biblical, but yeah, I mean, they, and there's some truth to them for sure. All right. Well, hey, listen, somebody asked if I got some receipts on the grift, the Alex Jones grift. Well, he's going to be in this today. So I am not a Calvinist, King Troller. I do not believe that you're predestined. So I'm not a Calvinist. Let's you guys always getting into, you always are dragging me into the theological stuff. I'm not a theological channel, but I definitely love theology and I love talking about God. So okay. All righty, you guys ready? Grifter report time. So one of the ways I know there's panic on the globalist side of things, the deep state, is that the panicens, aka Podcastistan, aka Fagaland, they are freaking out and doubling down. They're getting more and more obvious in their attacks. Well, Alex Jones has really been on it this week. He has been a frequent flyer here on the Grifter Report as he has just been doubling down. It's been his attacks on Tim Pool, which have just been insane. And now he's doubling down on attacking MAGA outwardly. And so this week, what did he do? He had the grifter pollster Richard Barris on. Now, Barris is part of the whole Bannon network, him and Mark Mitchell, who, they grew to success by polling Trump successfully in 2024, claiming they did so before that. But regardless, it is Bannon's war room, which has made them both famous. And ever since last year, they have all turned on Trump, and basically everything Trump's doing is now somehow destroying MAGA. So Alex Jones had pollster Barris on, and he says, "What even is MAGA anymore? Respected pollster Richard Barris exposes Trump apologists for not having data to support their Trump first stance anymore." Wow. So you need data to support Trump and what he's doing? How does that make sense? What if I just like the cut of his jib? What if I just like how he calls out the globalists, how he's making them all freak out? What if I just like that? Do I need data to support that? But I do have plenty of data, but Alex will never show that data because of course he won't. And as I often do on my show, I show data over and over again about how we're winning, how the Trump MAGA agenda is winning decisively. But Barris, speaking of data, well, he had Thomas Massie winning his primary by 2 to 3 points, and he lost by 9. So that, in my head, that's an 11-point miss. Oh yeah, and he admitted betting on it too. Are you supposed to be doing that as a pollster? But this is a respected pollster whose data sucks. But hey, we should all trust him, right? It says after Trump's first 5 months, the lobby came into town, redirected the president away from domestic policy. And when that happened, the wheels came off. Redirected the president away from domestic policy. Really? Crime's down? Isn't that domestic policy? Taxes are down? That's domestic policy. Deportations are up. Isn't that domestic policy? See, these people just lie. They just lie, and they keep these narratives going. One of those main narratives is that Trump doesn't care about what happens here now because he's a neocon. He's only going overseas and fighting the Middle East for Israel. That's the latest and greatest nonstop psyop they've been pushing now for about 6 months. And it's everywhere. We see this everywhere. We see Bannon's war room where he puts Mike Howell on. And what does Bannon have him say? MAGA was supposed to wrestle power away from the consulting class donor, special interests, and foreign policy radicals and give it back to people. Instead, they're blocking mass deportations because they want cheap labor. Are they? Are they blocking mass deportations? Wait, what? The latest deportation numbers are at record levels. Last I checked. We have a problem here, folks. The problem is lies. In fact, the latest deportation data, as reported by Benny Johnson right here, is that we just hit 27,000 in a week, 3,600 a day average, which is the highest ever. But that's not what they want you to believe. They're going to keep lying to you that they're not happening. Unfortunately, Rich Barris, we have the data to support it. But again, they don't care about the actual truth. Now, one of their favorite things they've been doing recently, and this is Alex Jones and now Bannon the very next day, quoting Drudge Report. Well, that's funny. As Bannon quotes it right here, Republic ending the $40 trillion deficit. Now, I'm not a fan of the deficit, and yet we do have a deficit problem that's been going on for much before Trump. And because of Congress and Biden, that budget right now is still the Biden budget. We haven't even gotten Trump's budget yet. Yeah, I know it's 18 months in, but this is how politics works. Once you spend that money, you can't undo it. It's Congress that want to enact the Doge cuts. It's Congress and federal judges that have been holding up Trump's trying to fix this. And yeah, we got to talk about it as if it's the worst thing ever, as if it's Republic ending, whereas Japan has much higher deficits as a percentage than we do. But again, let's just throw out all the grifting. Drudge Report, many of you are probably thinking, Drudge Report's still around? I haven't heard Drudge Report in a long time. Well, that's because in 2019, Matt Drudge sold Drudge Report. Who did he sell it to? We don't know. You know why we don't know? Because he signed an NDA to which he would never disclose it. But guess what happened once Drudge Report was taken over in 2019? It became nonstop anti-Trump. It is a globalist site now. They took the news blog that had defeated the end of Bill Clinton's term, exposed Monica Lewinsky, brought to us all kinds of news we couldn't find anywhere else. In fact, before X, Drudge was the #1 place to actually find truth if you were conservative. It was excellent for 20 years. And then in 2019, the globalists got smart and said, we're going to buy Drudge out. And they did. And ever since then, it's been a creed against Trump. And interestingly enough, in back-to-back days, we have Steve Bannon and the day before that, Alex Jones quoting Drudge. That's hilarious. But again, it tells you who you are. Now, another thing they had Barris do yesterday was they invoked Rush Limbaugh. I honestly found this personally offensive, and I'm not somebody who gets easily offended, because Rush would have told us the truth. Rush would have loved everything Trump was doing. How do I know that? Because Rush loved Trump's first term, which wasn't nearly as successful as this term before he died. And his brother, David Limbaugh, constantly is out there reminding us how much Rush loved what Trump was doing and would have loved what he saw. So am I supposed to trust Alex Jones or Rich Barris over this? No, I'm going to go with Rush, being that he was the smartest of them all. But what does he come out and say? Betrayal. Oh, man, what a frame that somehow Trump has betrayed Rush Limbaugh. This is disgusting, honestly. This is like saying he betrayed Charlie Kirk. This is gross. Rush Limbaugh said Trump is the only one who could break the bond between him and his voters. Bombing Iran and Midnight Hammer was the right hook that put MAGA down. Was it really? Betrayals cut deeper. It's personal. Pollster Rich Barris breaks down how Trump betrayed voters. And apparently Rush Limbaugh, who Trump gave the Medal of Freedom to. That is sick. And, you know, to give you a reminder, what are we seeing from the grifters? From Alex Jones, Bannon, Barris, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Ian Carroll, Nick Fuentes, on and on and on. What are we seeing from them? Nonstop blackpilling, nonstop dooming. Everything is falling apart. Well, somebody posted this excellent clip of Rush and Al Gore back from 1992. And I wanted to share it with you guys. And, you know, as we go through this, I think it's going to paint a stark reminder of where Rush would have stood in all this.
Got local environmental problems, regional problems like acid rain. Now we've got a whole new category of global or strategic problems, which include the hole in the ozone layer, which now could appear above the United States, global climate change, the destruction of the rainforest at a rate that means they'll be totally gone in another few decades unless we stop, the pollution of the oceans and the atmosphere, and the like. These represent brand new challenges that call for a new kind of response.
Rush, I've listened to you many afternoons, as you know, and you tend to, I don't want to say you dismiss all of these issues, but at least you dismiss them as having been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, absolutely. I don't think that there's anything conclusive about what Senator Gore said, with all due respect. I think, for example, there is no ozone hole over the United States. If we want to get into detailed discussion of ozone depletion, we can, but...
This is 1992, folks. You couldn't get truth like this back in 1992. Rush had the receipts.
I think, Ted, that there is not a crisis. See, this is the problem I have. I don't think the Earth is fragile. I don't think the ecology is fragilely balanced. And I think that the doomsday industry that is...
Hold on a second. Did you hear what Rush just said? By the way, this is within the context of the climate alarmist, but Rush meant this about everybody because Rush was the eternal optimist. Did you hear what he just said about the doomers? Let's play that again.
A crisis. See, this is the problem I have. I don't think the Earth is fragile. I don't think the ecology is fragilely balanced. And I think that the doomsday industry that...
Doomsday industry. Even back in 1992, Rush would call it out. The doomsday industry is always a psyop. It doesn't matter if it's climate change. It doesn't matter if it's anti-MAGA. It doesn't matter. Doomsday blackpilling industry is always psyops. Always. And again, you could be a good person and have bought into the doomsday part, but if there isn't hope, if there isn't solutions, if it's not the full truth and there's not the way through it, it's psyops every single time. Rush knew it. And that's why we know Alex Jones is a fraud, because he does not do that. And he should never, ever be able to use the name of Rush against Trump, because Trump is like Rush. He always knows and sees the positive in the solution.
That is typified by members of the Hollywood acting community who say we've only got 10 years left to save our planet. We've got to act now. There's no way, if what these people say is true, that we can solve these problems in 10 years anyway. It's budget time in Washington. NASA's being cut. And I think that this fright and doom scenario is designed to frighten people. Everything in this country today seems to be a crisis. We can't do anything without it being having to face it as a crisis. We don't have any time to think about.
Do you hear that? Everything in this country is a crisis. We can't do anything without it being a crisis. Does that not sound like Mr. Alex Jones here? I don't know. Let's look at Alex Jones's page real quick. Let's see if everything's a crisis. Thursday emergency show. Okay, emergency. Bill Gates' daughter plotting world domination. Okay, Alex. Nuclear war alert. All right, Alex. Thanks for that one. Oh yeah, he brought along Barnes for that one. That's a good fraud right there. Historic bombshell. Okay, pretty intense. Let's see this one. All right, not too crazy here. You know, just that Jewish settlers are expanding their brutal campaign of ethnic cleansing. Okay. Can you see it? Flock cameras. Trump's D-Day, what it actually means. Alex Jones exposes the demons or devil or globalist operative trying to scare you. It's him. It's him. Oh, wow. Look at actual testimony. Something nice. Tim Pulversit, programming alert. I mean, it's doom after doom, emergency after emergency. Just this is super villain. It's right there. It's right there. Tucker Carlson, same thing. He's not as obvious about it as Alex, but everybody he brings on is about how bad things actually are. That is the doomer cult. That is what Rush was talking about here. And everything is always an emergency. This is amazing stuff. And this is why Rush is the GOAT. And that's why Trump is one of the GOATs.
There are as many scientists, maybe even more, on the opposite side of all of these doomsday predictions. And I think that they need to be listened to. Yeah. Oh, yes, there are.
That's not true. If I could jump in there, Ted, where the ozone hole is concerned, for example, the linkage between these chemicals, chlorofluorocarbons, and the ozone hole is established. There may be 1/100th of 1% of the scientific community that disputes it.
Oh, no. It's far more than that. Ted, that the environmental movement.
Do you see the lies? They twist the data. Oh, the data, remember? The data like Rich Barris? They don't have any data. Yeah, tell us about that. Just like Al Gore did. No, I just don't accept your data because my data is the only one that matters. That's how they do it, folks. It's the same playbook. What Al Gore was doing here is exactly what the grifters are doing today.
Movement as fueled by the militants who lead it, I think is the new home of socialism.
The ozone hole is threatening to open up above North America, above Kennebunkport, and still we're not reacting.
Called it out then. It's the real push of socialism, which we now know. And Rush may have known it, I don't know, but we now know is the Fabian tactic to spread the City of London system, the globalist system, take us all over. This is what they do, folks. And Rush saw it back then, way ahead of its time, when literally nobody was calling it out back then. And Rush did it for 40 years, and God, we miss him today. This is why Rush somehow survived. But this is why they took out Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk had the same gift Rush had, and he also had something else behind him too. He had the gift of that holiness and meeting kids on the road. Charlie Kirk, I'm guarantee you right now, would have been as powerful, if not more powerful than Rush had he lived. They want these heroes taken away from us. Rush, unfortunately, Rush didn't take care of himself, and I believe that's ultimately why he died before his time. But Charlie was taken from us. They've tried to take Trump away from us. They cannot have you hoping. Remember in USSR, Russia, they banned the Beatles. They banned their music. Why? Because the Beatles' music, especially the early years, made you feel good. They didn't want their people feeling good. They didn't want their people to have hope and optimism. Because once you have that, it's a powerful way to destroy the system. You need to believe that everything's bad, so you rely on the government. And then they sneak in. They tried it with COVID too. They want to take out everybody who sees through the doomer system. That's what they're doing. And we see the dooming just getting pushed and pushed and pushed. One of those doomers right now is Candace Owens, followed by Dave Smith and so many others. Well, she's still pushing her Charlie Kirk assassination grift because God forbid we can have the real story on Charlie that the left took him out, which is true, especially when you associate the left as being a proxy of the City of London globalist system. But you now have Dave Smith propping her up, all the grifters coming together, and they're just so ridiculous. As Dave Smith on here says, Candace is a legend and won the debate. Did she convince you? No, not even close. And his quartering calls him out. How can you say Candace won and also say she didn't convince you? Well, I'll tell you, your mind was already made up that the shoes did it. And you never cared about the truth. That's absolutely true. And thankfully, people are waking up as we expose them. In the Andrew Wilson versus Candace Owens debate, Polymarket numbers before and after the debate are pretty telling. Start of the debate, 36% were convinced that Tyler Robinson did it. Only 1/3 of people on Polymarket before the debate. After the debate, it went up to 70%. That right there tells you Andrew Wilson won the debate overwhelmingly. So we're getting truth out there. But it's not going to stop them from trying to keep pushing and getting together and trying to dupe everybody. And now we have Candace joining together with Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. So much for Candace being on the right. Young Turks is about as left as it gets. But they're all pushing this narrative. Why? Because it matters. Charlie was either the next Rush Limbaugh or the next great leader of our country. One way or the other, he was going to be extremely powerful for the movement we had ahead of us. They took him out. And what are they doing? They're trying to use him being taken out as a distraction against our real enemy. It's got to be the Jews or the Trump government. They're going to make those the enemies so that we don't actually see the real enemy, the globalist system, the left, and take them out. Joe Kent's another part of this. as he's now getting some play. USA Today, Joe Kent resigned from the Trump admin over the Iran conflict. Now he and other MAGA war critics are plotting their next steps politically. Yeah, get that third party going, huh? Huh, Joe? Well, the White House just called him out as a quitter. Trump has destroyed nearly all of Iran's military capabilities, crushing what's left of its abysmal economy of the most powerful naval blockade in world history. And quitter Joe Kent's twisted mind that somehow means Iran is winning. Thank God we have people calling them out. Here's what Kent had to come out the other day after Trump basically declared war on the whole globalist order by warning them all, if you help Iran at all, we're cutting you off. And Joe responded by this, says, if this plan's actually implemented, it's likely Iran will respond by striking the troops we have in the region. Why aren't they striking them now, Joe? Why not? Big intelligence guy? Are you just a moron, or do you know you're lying? We need to deprive them of that option. Here he puts, offer them sanctions relief in exchange for opening the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is, Joe, you're a couple days late on this one. Even CNN, even Axios have all been reporting this past week that we now control the strait, and Iran can barely stop anybody from going through. So, Joe, you're telling us to surrender to leverage that they don't even have. Again, Joe, are you a moron? Or are you just a bad person? I don't know. But Dan Scavino called him out, and I love getting it from Dan. Says, when you get fired for doing a spectacularly shitty job in an agency, with your badge deactivated, building access revoked, and the full "you're dead to us" package. This is great language right here. The full "you're dead to us" package. Or when you get passed over for ambassadorships, boards, or commissions because there are candidates far more qualified than you are, please resist the urge to sprint to every media outlet that will platform your lying bullshit and falsely attack the people in the presidential personnel office out here serving President Trump, the admin, and the American people each and every day. Just take the L and move on, loser. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Unbelievable. This is Scavino, the White House social media guy who's been with Trump since the very first admin. He's one of the most trusted people in Trump's orbit, calling him out. And then Kash Patel to get on too. Boss move. Dan's a legend. Guys, they are killing these people. The grifters are being exposed more every single day because they are getting more ridiculous. Why are they getting more ridiculous? Because they're losing. Their arguments are getting so destroyed that they're doubling down on crazy. They're just going to get worse and worse. I mean, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene acting as if the president responded to her. So before we do that, here's what happened. A White House spokesman, Davis Ingle, called her Marjorie Quitter Greene and that she had no idea what she's talking about. Good for them, because she doesn't. And then she came out and said, the president didn't deny they're talking about lowering the threshold. He just called me silly names. Except he didn't say that. This wasn't him. Marjorie, you are a narcissist. You have some real issues. You have some real issues that you are, trying to convince everybody that Trump actually cares about you enough to address you directly. But he doesn't. He had his spokesman do it. And that's even funnier, realizing just how pathetic you are. But again, they're going to get wilder and wilder in their accusations the more they're losing power. And one of the things that it's just, to me, proof of this is Alex Jones' rift with Tim Pool. Again, is this kayfabe? Maybe. Maybe it's all a grift. But I can tell you, by people who know Tim, people have been a part of all this, is that Tim is actually really pissed about this. Tim is irate and he's done. And it's also making Alex look terrible, as Tim Pool has been now going on his show telling the truth about Alex behind the scenes and all the terrible things he did that Tim Pool covered for him because he wanted to be friends and not embarrass Alex. But Alex is now going nuts on this. And Tim Pool just endorsed the Iran war again. Pool claims the war is part of a $1 trillion chess move for U.S. energy dominance by Trump. It's hilarious watching this back and forth. Tim Pool writes, we often ask why the media was lying about us. Why'd they claim I lied about ivermectin Burisma 2020? Alex is on the payroll making the same moves. Lie about my views to his audience all day, but it just serves to destroy his legacy. If this was kayfabe, would it be so hurtful to Alex? And I would argue no. Tim Pool's more powerful than Alex at this point. So for Alex to pick this fight and be getting crushed, it's really going to hurt him. Like posts like this as well. Why is Alex now pushing the same lines as Merrick Garland Democrats? Ooh, once you get lumped in with that group, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. And so watching this go down, to me, again, it's more of Alex Jones is having a crash out right now. He's losing influence. That's what his whole, Elon Musk is censoring me. That's what that was all about. He's very upset. He's losing his influence. And maybe the paychecks aren't clearing anymore as they're trying to get Alex to be a part of pushing those narratives. He's losing influence. Tucker's losing influence. Marjorie, Joe Kent, you name it. Candace, people are waking up to her grift. So what are they doing? Lashing out crazier and crazier. And of course, when all this is going on, you got to bring back one of the quieter grifters, one of the smarter ones. And that's Whitney Webb, who today released a special report. Javier Malay's admin has been showcasing Patagonia to Silicon Valley execs, culminating in OpenAI's recent Stargate Argentina announcement. The focus is the man actually developing OpenAI's Argentine project and both significant ties to U.S. military intelligence, NASA, Palantir, and the Silicon Valley stalwarts who help privatize space. Here we detail him. He said the quiet part out loud and how data center construction isn't about making jobs, it's about making money. Isn't all these businesses about making money? Does this prove anything? I would say no, but okay. How he suggested OpenAI as a front for accelerated build out of AI infrastructure. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. He's also suggested Stargate Argentina will eventually be used, not by OpenAI, but by the Argentine state. Okay. How's that our problem? And looking at Javier Malay's policies with respect to AI domestically, the digital transformation of the Argentine state, which they hope to further advance, is largely for predictive behavior control of its population. Oh, it's the technocrats. It's always the technocrats. Whitney, no matter what happens, every advancement that's ever been known to man is a technocrat plot. That is Whitney Webb's whole spiel. This reporting is probably mostly true, but there's nothing really here. The speculation is nonsense. Notice who she's attacking. Javier Milei. What does Javier Milei did? Well, he went down to Argentina, busted up its government, set it free for the people, and now it's roaring. It's no longer owned by the deep state. It's no longer controlled by the left. He set Argentina free and it's thriving. So what does Whitney Webb do? That's who she's going to attack. She attacks all the people actually working for us against City of London, against the globalists, attacking Javier Milei, attacking Trump, attacking JD Vance. That's what she does. And if you can't see the grift at this point, I don't know how to help you, because it's not, see how Whitney does it and why she's got a bunch of people duped is because she gives real information and then she leads you to doomerism and blackpilling against the only people actually working for us. This is an attempt for us to start now believing that Javier Milei is in on it. Just like she's been running that with JD Vance. She started it. Just like she's saying that now about Trump. Meanwhile, she did do it against Biden and them too. But here's her game. Her game is to convince you that there is no hope ever, that everybody who's advancing things for the people is also in on it, that they're all ultimately globalists, they're all ultimately techno-fascists, no matter what the proof is to the opposite. She's going to find the one thing that she can say, look, this is proof. But as we can see here, none of this is proof. Again, the statements in here are ridiculous. This is not an own. The quiet part out loud is that data construction isn't about making jobs, it's about making money. Well, he's a businessman, retard. Of course, for him, the first goal is making money. Building data centers is not about Charity. You can't make it without profit. Isn't that what the private sector is all about? It's the government's job and the church's job to help with charity, help people up. It's not the private business's job for that. Their job is to turn a profit, and yes, to hopefully do it ethically. But it's not their job to make jobs. Or the front for the accelerated build out of AI infrastructure financed by international intentional debt bubble. Well, yeah, there's a debt bubble in AI. Is that their fault? No, it's never before them, by way ahead of them. Are they taking advantage of what's happening? Sure, just like everybody else. Is it bad to have an AI infrastructure if you believe it's going to help in the future? Not at all. There is nothing here. Nothing. It's retarded. He said, she said. They're connected to this person, so they must be bad. BS. Just like this right here. Of course, because at the end, she's got to throw in Peter Thiel. Yep, because Peter Thiel is the demon. He's the Antichrist. They always got to throw him in there as proof that the leaders are bad. That's all she does. There's no evidence here of anything sinister. It's just, hey, connect this dot nonsense. And I'll tell you that it's evil just because this one person talks to this person. That is nonsense. At the top, these people have all met each other at some point. You can label anybody evil by one connection they've ever had. But that's Whitney Webb's game. And she's back at it, which tells me they're getting nervous. They're getting nervous about the advancement. This is the first we've heard from her in a big way in a while. And now they're trying to take down Argentina. Ask yourself why. Now, finally, last thing I wanted to show you guys is that it was just out there, put out there, that the woman who accused Trump of raping her at 13 with Jeffrey Epstein is now facing criminal charges for fraud, theft, and exploitation of an elderly person. Why am I showing you this? Because this is one of the big attacks from the grifters on Trump, that he's the Epstein class. This is one of the ones they would occasionally bring up. There's accusations of this 13-year-old. I don't think Trump actually did it, but it's out there. That's how they play the game. They put it in your head. But just like them, this person was a grifter. She's already been proven to not have been there. Her whole thing's been litigated in court and struck down. She, in fact, didn't even follow through with it because she knew she could get in trouble for lying in court. This is the woman they constantly will tout on the left as being tied to Trump as a proof that he was bad, did stuff with Epstein. But that's the game, folks. They lie and they lie and they lie, and we just keep uncovering the facts about this stuff. And the truth is that Trump and what this team is doing is saving our country. It's breaking this globalist system. And because it is, they have to tell you that Trump is failing, he betrayed us, or that we've reached the point of no return. It's blackpilling nonsense, and they are force-feeding it to us now at a bigger rate than ever because they want you to believe that there's no hope, and no matter what, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die because Trump hates us. But remember, the real heroes, Rush Limbaugh, Charlie Kirk, Trump himself, they're always optimistic, always finding the solutions, always bringing the receipts. And that's how you know the truth of who's really on our side, who's really telling the truth versus who's not. And thank God we've had great people to lead us out of this, and they'll continue to do so. All right, folks, if you enjoyed today's show, please hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Let me spend a little time in the chat before calling it out, before leaving today. And I did see a couple super chats come in, so I want to make sure I get to those. Let's see. Ministry of Wrong Think with a $5 super chat says, Rush pointed out the fact left constantly moved the only this time much left for the climate back in 92. Yes, he did. He was way ahead of the curve. And we miss him so much for it. Let's see here. The Sven with a $5 super chat says, your best show yet. Maybe it's you or the news itself is so good. Either way. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That is a blessing to hear. Thank you. I'm glad I'm delivering for you guys. Doc Noah with the $2 super chat said, dooming for cheap dopamine. Sad and pathetic. Amen, brother. Dooming for cheap dopamine. I like that. Ministry of Wrong Think, another $5 super chat says, Alex attacked Tim after video clips of the Jubilee clips went viral, aka Alex attacked Tim when he thought he was vulnerable. Alex equals a snake. I totally agree with you. They're clever. They are clever. So, and they do time. There's no coincidence in the timing. Let's see here. What Trump and Bissent are doing is working. People of Iran will rise again. Absolutely. Completely agree with that. I'm the best one-man show on YouTube. Thank you, Threads. I appreciate that. Thank you, John Strayhorn. If you guys agree with that, please hit the like and subscribe if you're new. And then if you do want me to keep doing this, please consider joining the membership. Click the link in the description below. Give you a free month to my Patreon, and you can become a supporter of the channel there. Let's see here. Punchcat, she always comes out before election, makes circular arguments that land on MAGA and our supporters. Whitney Webb? Yeah, she does. Richard, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. They're very kind of you. Griftas are digital vultures pecking at fake news narratives that create controlled opposition to disseminate with much histrionic fake indignation. That's 100% true. And they're making money off it the whole time as well. Don't forget that part. Chalky says, investigative journalist Whitney Webb lives in southern Chile. She moved to She moved to South America in 2012 before relocating to Chile around 2014. I'm sure that Chile is so much more free than USA, right? That's so stupid. These people are so ridiculous. And she probably left saying that, well, I was threatened in the United States. Sure you are. I'm sure you're way safer in Chile. So retarded. Linda says, great live chat. Thank you. I've always believed Globalist ban our city of London were closely tied to our stock market. Is that correct? Yes, it is correct. And should we be concerned about a crash? I would say prepare for it just in case, because that is one of the tools they could use if they feel like it'll actually help them achieve their goals. These podcasters are also trying to convince Democrats MAGA is crazy, but MAGA is boringly cool. Boringly cool. I like that. That's funny. Thank you guys. Lots of lovers out here today. I appreciate you guys. Susan says, subscribe. You're a good man. It's so good at explaining it. Well, thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Charging Star says, American soggy ace. Whitney's point was they're claiming it creates jobs. Why haven't you identified they don't create on that's what they're selling them on? Are you serious? Didn't I just explain that? How about you get banned? Again, I'm not putting up with the, oh, that was the wrong one. I'm not putting up with the disingenuous, nonsense from you guys. It's so stupid. So stupid. Trolls, baby. Get those trolls. Sorry, Susan. I brought you back. I accidentally clicked on you. Got a lot of trolls out today. I think it was mostly the same troll over and over on his 40 accounts. So stupid. Molly Cruel, the $10 super chat. Thank you, Molly. Says, I come to American Fire. You always give complete coverage of what's going on in the world. Don't walk away feeling like we're all in trouble. Thank you. It's better than Fox and Newsmax. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. DJ asks, have I ever considered a co-host? Down the road, I'd love one. Because it's a lot of work to do this all by myself. And it's a lot, sometimes I do think there's an extra dynamic you can get. But a couple things. Sometimes a co-host can take you off track where you want to go. And so there's that. The other part is that I can't pay anybody right now. I live paycheck to paycheck myself. I want to bring a co-host on and just tank the show. This thing has to grow. I'm nowhere near where Tim Pool is or, even Jeremy at the Quartering. And I'm talking about smaller, like, channels that kind of grew independently. Steven Crowder, Barry Cunningham, Stephen Turley, any of these guys, they all, gotten huge. Matt Morse. I'm still small. I'm a very small independent operation. So I just I want to be able to afford a co-host, to be honest. And the other thing is, who do I trust? It's got to be somebody who's good on TV or at least can hold their own talking in front of people. And then also, I have friends I trust. Most of them don't live by me. So yeah, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, but thank you for asking. It's interesting. Troll he's very desperate. Tanzu says, you're the man. Subscribe, said 3 people to your channel. Bang, bang, Niner Gang. Well, thank you, Tanzu. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. How about one of my older kids? They don't want to do it. Trust me. They even my son who's learning. Yeah. Listen, I how I do this show, guys? I have 25 years of studying politics and history and theology, all this stuff, economics. I've been a nerd since my teens on all this stuff. This isn't something you just come across easily. Like I wouldn't want a co-host that doesn't know anything or can barely keep up. It's hard. It's hard to find somebody like that. Hannah says, you're way better than somebody. You tell the truth, focus on good. Well, thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate that. America just sends a morning fun news. Harry and Meghan are leaving. That's hilarious. Thanks, Johnny. Promote the Patreon. I appreciate that. I knew what you meant, Dan John. Thank you. A producer. Yeah. I mean, it'd be great someday. I would love that. But I got to build. I got to get bigger before I can do that. And, honestly, guys, listen, right now, can I just be 100% honest with you guys? Can we just talk? Me and you, one man to man, man to woman. Here's the truth. I just, after 3.5 years of doing this show, was able to go full time. And by full time, I mean that I could, through my own business, through what I do here and on the side, I was able to come home and work and treat this show as a real job, and not a hobby. That just happened in May. Okay. So I just got to the point where I am just supporting my family right now. The idea of growing producers, that is so far from me right now. That means even to think about it, I need to almost double what I'm doing right now. And I'm a listener supported show. I'm honestly not that big a channel. I really appreciate you guys. I love to get to the point where I've helped and can make this even better. But right now, it's going to be like this for a while. I'm just letting you guys know. Unless I get a massive growth shot in the next few months. But that's not usually how YouTube works. So, Ministry of Wrong Thing, $5 super chat says, Quartering says things we agree with. Sometimes he's got issues. He's got exposed for false flagging months back, has been crashing out. Has he? I didn't catch that. I watch Jeremy sometimes, not a lot. Most of the time I like him. He seems like a legitimate guy, even though I don't always agree with him. But I didn't catch the whole false flagging thing. But I don't follow him closely. If I ever considered having Spencer Pratt on, that would be awesome. Eventually. Right now, I'm just kind of building my guest network already, through Promethean and Rich Does Politics and those people. Again, down the road, as I get more time, I'd like to grow it out. Want me to stay a one-man show? I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. I don't know if I'll ever not be a one-man show, like Rush. I just talk a lot. To be honest with you, I talk a lot with a lot of thoughts. But we'll see. Checking it out with a $50 super chat. My God, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you for the support. Didn't even have a question or comment. But thank you checking it out. I really appreciate that. Your support like that just goes a long way for me. So It's a whole internet drama war over the quartering. You know, I don't have much insight into that. I guess because he doesn't have enough influence into things I care about. But I watch his channel and I check in on it time to time when he's got something interesting, and I've always liked him. Karma Michelle says, I'm an inspiration because working towards your own show and even getting it to where you can do it as a hobby is a challenge. Yeah, it is. So just so you know, I started my show just talking about stocks and other things I was interested in. And then it became mostly about stocks because that was a community that wanted to follow me. You know, I just enjoyed doing it. And I enjoyed the community so much. I'd tell you, for the first 3 years, the money was almost nothing. On a good month, I might make $1,000 off the, 30, 40 hours I'd put into this show, 50 hours in a month. But I did it out of love. I kept showing up and building the community and getting to know people and grow that way. And just do it because you love it. That's my advice. If anybody wants to start something, do it because you love it and have something to say. And then build a community in that. And then you just keep showing up no matter what, and don't have a timeline. Be okay if it's going to take 5-10 years to grow. Do something that's, sustainable. I found the way I was doing it was sustainable, even though it was difficult, but I kept coming back because I loved it. And so, but it was sustainable. And then it took off enough to me to get to do it more. So, but it took 3 years. I thought it was going to take 5 or 6. So. Russia's sticking his tongue out of us. Watch it. Wait until you sell a lot of books. You'll donate. Thank you. Matt Morris got lucky. A huge following playing World of Warcraft because he went in on politics. That's similar to Asmongold, right? See, I started streaming late. I should have started early because I could have gotten in on the early years of YouTube. It was right when I was in my 20s that YouTube was taking off, but I didn't know what I didn't know. All the channels that shot up during election 24 are terrible now. Oh, I did an election stream in 24. Remember? I did a 7-hour stream. No. Yeah, it was something like 7-8 hours. My election stream 2024. Who made a mistake? Matt Asmongold? I was a Rush baby too. There's no way James Talrico's flipping Texas. Are you serious? I know some people are pushing that right now. I will just do me. Thank you, Beatrice. Bucko says, I know a winner when I see one. Great. Thank you, Bucko. I appreciate that. All right, guys. On that note, though, I got to go take my daughter to work. She's got her first job, Chick-fil-A. Been there a month now. She's doing great. So 16 years old. Proud of her. And my son's, he just started community college. So I got to move. So listen, love you guys. So appreciate you guys. Everybody's supporting the channel. Everybody's showing up. Appreciate it so much. Oh, so the midterms, I'm going to do an all night live stream until we have the results. So you better ready to party. Bring your favorite drinks. I will be having some drinks that night. Trust me. So anyways, love you guys. Appreciate you. Please hit the like and subscribe before you leave. And Salty Cracker, he makes me laugh. That's what I think of Salty Cracker. I think he's funny. All right, let's call it a day and end in a prayer. All right, Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Bless everybody here, Lord. Thank you for their support of the channel, for their watches, their super chats, their memberships, everything, Lord, and that they have given me this blessing of being able to work for myself. Thank you to that for them. And I just pray, God, that I can deliver to them what they deserve and look for here. Father, we pray for President Trump, that you would bless him and his team. Give them, first of all, protect them against all the weapons of the enemy. And Father, give them wisdom and guidance on how to keep fixing things and moving us forward. We pray for our country, that you'd bless it. Continue, Lord, just pouring your spirit out upon people, Lord, letting this revival spread quickly so that our culture can last and be strengthened in a better way going forward and create long-lasting change, that we can leave a better country to our kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. In Jesus' precious name, amen. All right, love you guys. Bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And tomorrow, Friday, I'll see you then at noon. God bless.
line screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is